Okay, so I call the Halifax Board of Selectmen Tuesday, June 14, 2022 meeting to order. It is 5:37. The meeting is being taped by Area 58, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Flag here is here. Yeah. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve? The agenda is written.
One quick thing, I was wondering if we could take a little bit out of order. Could we move up, see how we have the forming an ad hoc trash committee? Would it make sense to move that up to where we're talking about our contract with Waste Management?
Where are we talking
Since we're talking trash and trash, so this is our ad hoc trash, well, it's trash committee.
Where do you want to put it?
Let's put it after we talk about Waste Management up there.
You're making a motion?
I'm making a motion to do that, that very thing.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, so
Keep trash for trash.
do I have a motion to approve Selectmen meeting minutes from April 19th, 2022 and April 26th, 2022?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next is you.
What's that?
Next is you.
Next is
Real
me.
quick. You have to read that.
Okay. I move to affirm approval of the following warrants and commitments. Vendor warrant number 108 for $404,644.03. Payroll warrant number 109 for $510,564.32. Vendor warrant 110 for $79,246.12. Withholding warrant number 111 for $176,642. Ambulance commitment from 5/16/22 to 5/22/22 for $88,327.53. And ambulance commitment from 5/23 to 5/23/22 to 5/29/22 for $193,346.55.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. I also move to approve the following warrants and commitments. School warrant number 112 for $638,463.51. Vendor warrant number 113 for $645,896.37. And the mobile home park fee number 6 for $5,160.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then the Selectmen bills are in here, so you can
Okay.
start that and read them.
All right.
Not that one, because
Thank you. Okay, I move to approve the following selectment bills. Let's see. Right here, Brooks and Dorenzis, I'm reading right here, correct?
and then
Brooks and Dorenzis for $24,281.47. KP Law PC for $686. Make sure I got it all there. All right. For Relics Incorporated, DBA LexisNexis for $74.26. For William August Esquire, $970. For MIAA Property and Casualty Group Incorporated for a total of $38. And WB Mason Company for a total of $60.78.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then you can sign these.
Yep. Both. Yep.
Okay. What time is it? We have 4 minutes. Okay. I don't want to start. I mean, I guess we can do the time. We have 4 minutes. So use of town green for the Boy Scout bottle drive. That's the Girl Scouts, the Boy Scouts. So they wrote, hello, I'm emailing you to request the use of Town Hall Green Saturday, July 9th from 8 to 1 for a bottle drive fundraising event for Halifax Troop 39, the Boy Scout group. Do we have anything on that calendar? You sure?
So moved.
Oh, Boy Scouts first, sorry.
Yeah.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then the, jeez, everything's stuck together. Hello, I'm seeking approval on behalf of Girl Scout Troop 70868 for the use of the town green back end grass away from the street. We would like to hold our final Girl Scout meeting of the year there with small petting zoo on Wednesday, June 22nd from 2:30 to 4:45. The company we hire will of course clean up any animal output. We normally meet at Holmes Public Library, but the playground next to it. What is our liability with that? With having animals?
Well, unless we have pens in over the library.
Just because we did it doesn't mean it's right. That's why I'm asking.
We did not, no. We did have a Plot for Hops fundraiser with a cow.
Were people petting it?
No one was petting it. There was
Yeah.
no petting involved.
That's
Mostly just,
my concern about
mostly
that.
just defecation.
What, goats, sheep, pigs, bunnies, and a cow. Sorry. You're also planning on adding a mini donkey, but that could be
Oh, now you're
excluded.
talking.
That's the problem.
Now you're
Yeah.
talking, mini donkey.
Why would the donkey be the problem, but
I
not?
don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say as long as the liability falls with the Girl Scouts, not us.
Right. They're gonna have some type of insurance to cover this. Like, what if someone gets bit?
So you can
Sure.
put a caveat, they have to produce certificate of
Was there
insurance.
anything else going on this day?
No, it's in the afternoon on Wednesday, right? Is that what it's
Yeah,
June 22nd.
Wednesday, June 22nd.
It's right after.
Yeah,
school.
I mean, I don't want to speak for the past, but we've had animals there in the past for some of our fundraising events and,
But not a petting zoo.
but no, we did have a petting zoo. We did have a
did?
petting zoo for one of our hops events. So I don't remember us having to have proof of insurance on those events. So I don't know, just wanted to throw that out there.
Alex?
I want to see insurance. I want to know who's liable for it.
Yeah.
If kids are petting pigs.
I would, this is like soon. We're not gonna meet again.
Yeah, we're not gonna be able to
before
meet
this, right? We meet the 20, it's not enough time. We could entertain a motion to make it contingent on proof of insurance for the petting zoo.
Yeah.
That way, if they give us the insurance, that,
Yep, I'm fine with that.
I don't know. I don't think we, personally, I don't think we need insurance for a petting zoo, and that's just me.
okay.
You guys can bring it up
So,
to
do either
the
of you have a motion?
I make a motion with a contingency for proof of insurance.
Okay, I would second that.
Okay.
So, all those in favor, Alex?
Aye.
Jonathan?
I'm gonna say no.
And I say yes, so it passes. with
2 to
one.
1.
We have a 5:45. Morse Brothers to speak about the pond treatment. Whoever would like to discuss that, please. Just state your name for the record, please.
Sure. Kevin Grady from Grady Consulting, along with Brendan Moquin.
From Morse Brothers?
So is this meeting specifically for pond treatment, or is this also the earth removal?
So this is just to discuss the pond part. We're gonna open up the hearing at 6. So just to discuss, I guess, what's happened in the past, what recently happened, and where you guys are sitting, I guess, at this point.
Yep, so 3 weeks ago, we finished our 9.5 acre renovation at our property. Actually, at the same date, we finished planting our plant and had plants. We had to start irrigation, which occurs 3 times a day, by way of our water withdrawal points from Westmont Ponset. We were made aware the morning of that day that there was a treatment, a sonar, both liquid and granular, that was entering Westmont Ponset by way of, I believe, a boat, from which we had no other choice but to pull water to irrigate our new plantings, which is of extreme concern to us. There is research by way of UMass Cranberry Station, as well as Ocean Spray provided scientists, that there is parts per billion monitoring and guidelines for mature plants. However, there is no guidelines, no research for immature plants, which are newly renovated or newly planted plants, which we did for 9.5 acres. In the past, 2016 and 2013, sonar was brought to our attention by way of a notice of intent from the town administrator of that time, a year prior to actually the application. We were able to voice our concern, come to a public hearing, and West Ponce was not treated, only East Ponce was treated with sonar. So for us, it's of great concern that A, we weren't notified with significant time prior to this application, and B, that this got notified the day of our new plantings that we have to irrigate multiple times per day for the remaining season. So at this time, we are kind of at an impasse. We are monitoring the newly renovated plantings to see if there's any damage, if those are able to be nourished, develop into mature plants, but just monitoring at this time. So I wanted to voice my concern that we were not notified, and I'm worried that this will have a tremendous impact on our plants.
So I'm not sure if Brendan made it clear, but they have a withdrawal permit from West Ponce to irrigate their bogs, and they have other small irrigation ponds, but it's not enough to provide water for their needs, so they have to pull the water from West Ponce Pond. And in the past, as he indicated, the process was that they'd get notified and be able to voice their concerns prior to any applications.
Is there, what do you consider, did you say ample or adequate? I'm sorry, notification.
What's
You said ample or adequate?
Yeah, we didn't get notified at all.
No, I understand. Well, you said the morning of.
No, so the morning of, we saw signage by the pond.
Okay.
So we actually notified ourselves.
But you had said that you
A year
would be-
prior, yeah, to the application, we were notified that this process was in place, that the town was looking into sonar herbicide for the algae or whatnot in the ponds.
We schedule that out a year in
He's
advance?
saying that when the previous town administrator
Previous
was
town
here,
administrator.
he gave them a year to know that this is what we were starting. Yes, this stuff starts out because there's only certain times of the year that we can treat the ponds. So what he's saying is the previous town administrator let them know the minute it started that this is what we wanted to do in a year, and gave them
Was there any
time
concerns?
to, is there any concerns, and
Okay.
notify about it.
Yeah.
This time around, they weren't notified at all until they saw that it was done.
Wasn't having to coincide with a new renovation that was actually partially state funded. So they just renovated 9 acres of bog and were flipping the switch to irrigation.
Yeah, so it was bad timing for the
Yeah.
small plants, I get it. I thought there was something about, and I could be confusing with something else, but wasn't there like an abutters list or something pulled to let the townspeople know about not irrigating? Not private lawns.
I think what happened was that when the notice of intent was issued last year, and everybody was notified, because of the turnover in conservation with the administrative person, and ironically and unfortunately, Pam, who got the email, was on vacation, so she didn't see that email until the Monday morning, the day before the treatment. So, fortunately, Ashley was able to jump in the middle of it and
That was the second.
That was the second one.
Not the first, that was the second application.
So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give the folks some information that we received from Solitude and from DEP. Now, we got DEP involved in this, and they have an opinion based on the soil treatment about, the effect that it's going to have on the plants. And and then we'll be able to stay in touch with these gentlemen and DEP and Solitude to ensure that, anything that they do on the property is in compliance with what DEP feels is appropriate, for lack of a better word. So, so we'll, or whoever's going to be in the town administrator seat here in a little while, will be, we've done that, and there won't be any gaps in information. So, we're ensuring that the Morse Brothers doesn't do anything that would impact, you know, the cranberry crop that's on their property.
So just a quick question for you, Ed. With our contract with Solitude, does that, in addition to application, does that include notification as well? Or is that?
Part of it is the town would notify, I don't know what the original contract was a year ago, whether or not the town had the responsibility to notify the butters or not, but this one did. But like I said, there was just, you know, a lack of communication between the conservation, because they're the ones that deal with the notice of intent. And so, you know, there's, you know, that's apologies on our part. You know, we were able to prevent it thanks to Ashley's intervention, and, you know, we'll just ensure that, that DEP is informed every step of the way along with, you know, with North Brothers and the town.
So for now, we've halted. We're not gonna do the second application until we can get everybody on the same page. DEP, Solitude, you guys. That's it for right now.
Okay.
So we'll stay in contact and get everyone together and look at the research that you've pulled forward. Is that just on crops that are already established, or is that on the new crops, which is their
Both.
concern?
Both. The memo that I got from DEP this morning addresses both.
And we don't have anything scheduled for a year from now?
No, that's different.
Okay.
We do have one, we do need to do the second tree, because that was canceled as of.
No, a year from now. I said, is it scheduled that far in advance? And you said yes, and it's usually a year out. So I just want to make sure
Charlie
that,
was doing it, yes.
right, but if we have something already lined up for next year, we should let them know now.
Oh, absolutely, but, you know, our concern right now is this growing season, you know, and this year's worth of treatment. Because the sonar is something that's new to that pond. From all the indications that I've seen, that it was just alum which treated the cyanobacteria in the past. So, but, yeah,
I had
like
noticed
said,
that it went into these small ponds in 2016.
for-
Sonar was used in 2016 on these small ponds.
Well, evidently some of the people in DEP are new, because they didn't know anything about it either, so. But we want to rectify the situation right now and, you know, go forward so that, you know, DEP, the town, and Morse Brothers are in complete agreement about how to proceed.
So correct me if I'm wrong, our next treatment, is there a window of effectiveness as far as the algae?
And that's why I want to share with folks here, you know, this schedule of events that Solitude has, and then we'll, and I've asked Solitude to pin it even more down into not to a 20-day period, but maybe to a big circ.
Okay.
You have a copy of that, Fred?
No.
We still have 5 minutes before we can open your hearing, so.
Okay.
Next on the agenda, use of Route 58 boat ramp for a pit stop for Harbor to the Bay bike ride. I feel like we did this last week. Or 2 years ago? Right. You guys have it?
I got it, yeah.
So the fire department signed off and our police department signed off.
Okay.
Anybody have a motion or a discussion? Well, we did motion on it.
Yeah, I'd just like to, I mean, so I don't know, I'm not familiar with this event. So if you guys want to speak to the event, go for it.
Yeah, so I apologize to you all. My name is Scott Canula from Latham Canula and Sons. We are the manager of record for Morse Brothers
Wait,
Horticultural
hold on, we're
Application.
going back.
Hold on.
Hold on, we're going
We're
back.
talking about a bike ride.
Hold on.
So we're holding off, guys.
We're holding up on you for 4
We get
minutes.
it.
Yeah, I wanted to just touch a little bit about the sonar.
Oh,
Oh, okay. All right, so we're still good.
Sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
What had happened was one of my employees saw the post-it 8.5 by 11 on the telephone pole. I called the town office. I was referred to the folks at Solitude. They were a little bit quizzical as to why a resident or a townsperson was calling them. Ed and I spoke with yourself, Jonathan, I believe, on the phone the next day.
Yep.
In regards to this. At that time, I had talked to the UMass Cranberry Experiment Station. I had talked to Ocean Spray, who receives this fruit, because it is in fact a food. They all seem to believe at that point in time, if it was, the application is less than 7 to 9 parts per billion, it is okay on mature cranberry plants. All the people that I spoke with and all the people they spoke with had no recollection or no data that supports what it will do to an immature cranberry plant. That's where my biggest concern comes from. Not so much the mature cranberry plants. Ocean Spray will in fact do protective screening on the fruit to make sure that it's safe for human consumption. What I'm concerned about, what Brendan's concerned about, is the fact that the immature plantings being very fragile at that point to an herbicide gets very, very, very nip and tuck when we're starting to shoot brand new root hairs. And if any of you have ever seen a cranberry bog planted, we mow vines and we sink them into the soil, we water them, we fertilize them, they shoot roots out the sides, and that's what the herbicide will take effect on. So just a little bit of cranberries 101 for you.
So you're more concerned with the herbicide killing the plant?
Absolutely correct. I'm
Okay.
not so much worried right now based on the levels, and I did speak with Dominic from Solitude as well,
Yeah.
that he's going to share the monitoring with us and Ocean Spray.
Okay.
And he seems to think that the contract he's got with you folks is that it'll keep between 7 and 9 parts per billion.
Okay.
And that's an effective range to do the herbicidal treatment on the milfoil and fanwort, I believe, are the 2 invasive species that you guys go after from the pond. Again, the concern is the destruction of the brand new plantings on a very expensive renovation project.
And what was the date of this?
3 weeks ago,
How the
the
plants-
first application of,
I want to say it was May the 17th.
Yeah, it was Monday after our town meeting.
So how are the new root systems looking?
Right now, we've got some stuff that's actually performing as it should.
Great.
We've got some other vines that are not.
Okay.
It's early yet.
Okay.
So I'm going to reserve judgment on what's going to happen. But right now, some of them look viable. And, you know, every cranberry farmer goes through this when you plant a new bog, whether there's an application of anything or not. So some of them look good right now, some of them don't.
Right.
And we won't know that for some time.
Not to have you try to predict the future, but is there a rough timeline where you'll have an idea of the success or not?
So generally speaking, by the end of the growing season, right around the first frost, it'll be sometime around October 1st, we'll have a general idea of if everything survived or not.
Okay.
And we'll be able to tell along the way, and we'll certainly keep you guys all posted as to how it's going. Like I said, the UMass Cranberry Station is very involved. The Cape Cod Cranberry Growers Association is very involved. They're all monitoring it with us, as well as Ocean Spray. So it's a coordinated effort, because we are talking about, in fact, a food product, and we are talking about a systemic herbicide.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, that brings us to you. So it is 6:01. The Halifax Board of Selectmen will reopen a public hearing that was set on Tuesday, April 26, 2022 at 5 o'clock in the Selectmen meeting room. 499 Plymouth Street, Halifax, Mass. For the purpose of hearing an application submitted by Morse Brothers for an earth removal permit on property located at 0 Plymouth Street and 250 Lincoln Street, Assessors Map 29, Lot 1 and 2. So we will open it to you guys.
Sure. For the record, Kevin Grady, Grady Consulting, Brendan Moquin from Morse Brothers, and Scott Hanula from Oive Hanula, is that right?
Very close.
All right, good. Oivo.
Wave up.
At the last hearing, we presented our application for the earth removal permit. We went through the requirements, all the standards. We had some discussion about some varying issues, roadways, timing, volumes, etc. One of the issues that the board had asked us to look into was where the Zone 2 actually sat on the ground there. It is shown on the plans, and it was, but it's also been confirmed by your peer review consultant as to where it sits.
Yeah, you couldn't see it on the internet.
Come on with a different colored crosshatch.
Yeah, blue.
Such a big scale, it's hard to
So weren't there like differing definitions last time?
Sure.
Boundaries.
Zone 2 is it's a blue line, but we highlighted it.
Okay.
Basically, last exit
Yeah,
properties here. Now that we found it in all these different colors, you might be able to find it again. So this side is the Zone 2, which is the which provides water for the wells. So the Zone 1, so your wellheads are basically in the centers of those circles.
Okay.
The red lines here are is the proposed reconfiguration, and under that is the aerial that shows the current bog configurations.
Yeah. And as currently constituted, they're difficult to maintain. Is that
Correct. So Scott talked about that. We did talk about that at the last hearing, as to why they want to reconfigure them and modernize them for efficiency purposes. We also have contacted a hydrogeologist to help us navigate some of this, and with the way everybody's really busy right now, we have not been able to get the information from him that we need to. So we don't have a lot of new information to provide to you that we didn't already give you at the last hearing. What we'd like to do is continue the hearing to a further date, and we also think it would be very helpful if the board came out to look at the site to get a bird's eye view of it, and to walk it so that Scott and Brendan can show you guys exactly what their needs are, and also how they're gonna manage the farm, protect the water source, etc.
Okay. I believe at the last hearing, it was most of the resident, and I don't want to speak for anybody, but I remember that most of the resident concerns was about the roadway itself and dust control. Since then, we've had questions about, runoff from the trucks, so like leaking hydraulics, leaking oil, things like that. I don't know if you typically plan on putting any sort of catch basin filters in, or
Certainly would be willing to talk about that, and you could condition an approval to put inserts in. And we can look at that on the site walk to see how many catch basins are actually out there. We did a significant survey of this site, but we didn't do a detailed survey all the way down the, out to 58.
Sure. Yeah, because it's pretty deceivable, I think, how far you actually have to get downwind to get there.
Yeah, so we can take a look at the condition of the road and what we can do to keep it intact and keep dust down.
Okay. And then I know that there was a lot of discussion about, how do you bring a damaged road back to the condition it was before? So I think that there needs to be a further discussion on exactly kind of a pretty clear-cut definition of what the plan is for the road when you're completed.
What the expectation is.
Because I don't want to get into a situation where the townspeople and the residents are upset, and we're comparing photographs that say, well, this pothole was 6 inches deep and now it's 8 inches deep. So I think there needs to be a more clear-cut definition of what the expectations are of the road condition upon the completion. And then dust control is a very vague term. So I don't know if you're planning on doing water trucks every hour on the hour, twice a day, 3 times a day. So I think, and I didn't have the benefit of sitting on this side of the table for the last meeting, so I apologize if we've already had those discussions or shared those previously. Sorry, I talked about.
No, it's good.
No, that's good.
All good stuff. The question I had too was, and I apologize, I did watch the meeting, but it was before I was here. Did we have any sort of schedule, kind of ballparked as far as removal? As far as start date, as far as time of day, as far as that kind of stuff?
Daytime?
Yeah.
7.
7 to 5 works for us, 5 days a week.
No.
And then how many ballpark would it be a day? Do we know?
Hold on.
Okay.
We changed the hours.
Yeah, wasn't there?
It was school hours.
Yeah, we wanted to get the kids off the
So
showing the buses
I-
That's
first.
fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we estimated 30 to 40.
30 to 40 a day?
I think we're requesting 50.
You can do 50 within school hours?
That was a hinge point with the hours that we were trying to find a compromise for everyone that when it was like 6:30 to 7. It was a broad timeline that they kept mentioning was the concern. So I guess we'd have to realize what hours and then work from there off the lines what would work for everyone.
Yes, so how the Halifax school system busing works is it's a double route. So they do, the same bus will come through twice, pick up the middle and high schoolers, and then the same bus comes back to get the elementary school. So if you were starting at 7, I can't speak for you, but I would assume you're not gonna wanna hear that you can haul loads from 7 to 7:15 before the bus comes back.
We ran it, the last permit that we did there was, had the same contingencies in it.
Okay,
And it was a massive issue.
yeah, so I can imagine,
It's almost not doable.
yeah.
It's because it's also like a store. We can't control people coming in to get dirt.
I understand.
It's when they're company trucks, it's easy to manage, but it's very hard to manage when outside vendors are coming in to buy dirt. And they
Oh, so you're not hauling all this off within
no,
your own company?
90% of it we are, but there are people that like, for example, like Scott manages the bogs. He'll pick up sand and bring it somewhere else. Like,
But you can define to your not subcontractors, but to the people that are coming to purchase it when they can come get it.
We can, but it's not that. It's the same way when you go for gas. You don't call the gas station ahead to let them know you're coming.
Yeah, but if I'm going to shop at a store, I know it opened today, I'm not gonna get there at 7.
But the hours are the hours. They won't adhere to it because there's no other permits that are like that.
Okay.
And it becomes difficult because the rest of the town also we drive on the rest of the road at the same time too. So it's tough to adhere to that schedule. And to be honest, it prolongs. I guess maybe that'd be the easier way to put.
No, I understand.
If we restrict the hours, if you're only going to let us haul from 9 to 1, we're going to be there for 10 years.
I understand.
I know there's a happy middle ground to not overwhelm the neighborhood. And safety is paramount, but make no mistake, that isn't something we're trying to skirt around by any means. No one wants anything bad to happen.
Right.
But regular working hours makes the project chug along at a consistent rate versus if we follow those hours that we adhered to last time, it'll double the life of the project.
Why can't you stage the trailers on the water?
Sage?
Yeah, put the trailers out there and then fill them. You guys can be working at 4 in the morning for all I care. I live right on that road. You can fill them all morning, night. We just don't want the trucks on the street. Then once the school buses come through, a whole army of trucks go down the road at once.
It doesn't help.
I'm sorry, but I don't get to go to Walmart and whatever hours I want. If they're closed, they're closed.
No, I'm not, you guys said whatever hours, it's just letting you know that it makes a 5-year project anyway.
Yeah, I'm just trying to come up with a solution for everyone. You still get your work done, we still get the safety of our kids.
Yeah.
And when you say 50 trucks, that's a truck in and a truck out. So
Yes, it's a round trip.
So it's a round trip.
Yes.
So it's actually
100
100.
times.
It's 100.
Let's go by the house 100 times.
times.
Yeah, correct.
So we're talking like a truck every.
Okay, hold on. We're in a hearing, so if you want to speak, you raise your hand, you say who you are.
Acknowledging us.
We will acknowledge you when they're done saying what they have to
You guys
say,
will have
then
a
you can
chance.
ask your questions. Okay? Just like Ms. Troop. I will speak with her. I've already told her 1 second. We don't yell out. You ought to know who you are, what your address is, and we will talk to everybody here. Do you have anything else you want to say before we open it up to the public?
Yeah, so the reason why we're proposing to do this, number one, is we just spent a bunch of time talking about water quality. That's number one. Number two is the viability of a farm. The way a farm works, like any other business, is it needs to make money. There are expenses and there are income. When we have 100-year-old beds, which is what we've got old varieties compared to what there are out there today, they become less productive over time, meaning that we pick less barrels or less truckloads of fruit that leave the property, less that we get paid. So that's kind of how this works. At the same time that we're replacing with a new variety, we're also conditioning the property to go with the new ways of harvest methodology, new ways of fertilizing. Maybe there won't be a helicopter there in the future. Maybe there won't be pesticides and herbicides put on the bog through the irrigation system, which is how we all currently do it now. Might be that we do it with a boom, which is our idea. Happens in the Midwest and Wisconsin, it happens in Quebec as well. So there are new ways to grow cranberries in this property because of the size and shape and the irregular nature of the beds. It's just not conducive to doing it the new way. So this is all the reason why the idea of the earth coming out at the same time is it's a construction project. This is not a material grab. This is a construction project to make the property viable. There just happens to be excess soil on site. And that's really how it boils down. If everything was balanced, the only thing there is then is to pay for it. That's really it. So right now, the material doesn't balance. We're proposing to dig a very large pond there to keep us off of West Monpont. We still have water withdrawal rights, which we will not give up for West Monpont. Those are issued by DEP and EPA. Once you've got them, you hang on to them with both hands twice on Sunday. You'll never get them back if you give them up, type of thing. So the idea of us building our own pond is that we become very self-sufficient. Normally it's to protect you from us. This time it's to protect us from you, in reality. It doesn't usually happen that way. But a closed loop system is a best management practice in the cranberry community. It's the best management practice with the National Resource Conservation Service, NRCS. They pay money for projects that make their beds and bog systems tailwater recoverable. Just makes all the things that we're talking about make sense for cranberry production. When we change this property to the new way, it now becomes the highest and best use for that property. If we leave it the way it is, that is no longer the highest and best use for the property. So there are good things for the town. There are good things for the grower. And at the end of the day, the cranberry bogs have been there for a very long time, as much as these the folks' houses have been there. At the end of the day, we just want to coexist. So back to what Ryan had said, we're not looking for anything bad to happen. We're just looking to do a project. We're looking to do a project in a timely fashion and grow cranberries.
Ms. Troop, Amy, you had a question?
Yes, I would like to see the DEP line that was being shown. I think everybody in this room would like to see where the DEP line is that you guys.
The zone line?
Why it changed?
And yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
So we'd like to see what you got demonstrated to out in the audience. We would like to see the map and where the DEP line is.
The zone 2 line you talked about?
Sure.
And how did it change over the years?
We'll show it to you guys. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's gonna turn down.
So they're also asking why it changed over time.
The elevation didn't change that much.
I'm sorry?
The elevation of the land itself didn't change that much, so why would the DEP zone 2 line change from, say, 2002 to now?
That's a very good question. I'm gonna let the engineer take that one.
If it worked the way you wanted to, it's quite an advantageous mistake that was made in 2002, wasn't it?
No. If it worked the way we wanted it to, it wouldn't be erased, unfortunately.
Can you speak up, please?
It's difficult to see. This is the zone 2 line bisects the property here.
Where's the entrance into the bottom?
the water commissioners, not recommending at all.
No.
67 acres, that's a big, that's awful big. And it's really close to our wells. We're already battling. We've lost $10,000 for
The dash, blue one.
Yeah.
And doesn't it have in this, right?
Those around the wells. And that data is just, we don't make that data, just give it to us from
You guys
DEP.
wanna see it too?
It would actually be nice if the camera could zoom in and you explain it to the camera, then we have it recorded so we can look at it down the road.
That's a good idea.
No, we can't really hear anything that's been said.
This information is, the dashed blue line is the zone 2. The circles are the zone 1 lines of influence for the wells. The red is the proposed bog reconfiguration. So this information has been submitted publicly. It's publicly available. It's also available on
Guys, hold up. Just hold on for 1 sec, please.
publicly available on Mass GIS. It's called Mass Mapper now. Just type in Zone 2 into the search and it will populate. And that's where we get this data.
You had your hand up after. Just state your name and address and.
So Sarah Ostrander, I'm at 20 Ridgeview. And so as we're talking about the number of trucks, I sat there and started to do the math out. So that's about every 3 minutes we're talking, just roughly right now for a truck. Because you're not only adding in those trucks going in and out, but if you're having outside workers or supervisors or water trucks or whatever else, we need to add on an extra percentage of vehicles going down that road. Now, I lived in this town in that neighborhood for 36 years, most of my life. I chose to buy a home back in that neighborhood that my parents had invested their entire life savings into. And now I've done the same. And we're in a similar position because we are also dealing with 100-year-old infrastructure. Those houses, those roads, everything. Nothing was built. Gas lines, water, nothing was built to sustain that type of vibration. And we have invested generations worth. We have multiple people in this room that multiple generations have invested all of their time, all of their energy into that neighborhood. And what we have created is far more valuable than anything that costs money. We have created a safe place for children to grow up. We have created a place where those kids can slowly gain their independence. Because you know, if you're not supposed to go past 11 and you get caught at 9, someone gonna call your mama. You are in trouble. We are a neighborhood. We're a neighborhood. We are something that this country says, if you move here, you get this. We did that. These people did that. We're all hard workers. Half of us, we're tired. We have been working all freaking day. We came here because we care. Because the second you guys do this, you're going to depreciate the value of our homes. Homes are finally selling in the 300s and 400,000s. That means that the generation that spent their entire life investing can finally cash in. They can retire because we all know the 401ks and everything else and all that, it's going into the hole. So what do you have left? You have your property. You have your home. And people are giving up their homes so that they can have a retirement because they're losing on all ends of the spectrum. So if this is something that you really feel you need to do, think long and hard about who you're hurting. You're hurting generations. I grew up, you can go to the ice cream store, go to the school on my bike. We have kids out there playing. We don't even see that all day, all night, all night. And there's no sidewalks. She makes a great point. There's no sidewalks. There's multiple places where you come around the corner in a vehicle, and if there's another vehicle, someone has to slow down and pull over. If you put trucks in there, you cannot pass 2 of those trucks without completely blocking the road. And not to mention that some people only have about 10 feet of visibility on their front lawns. So if a driver is driving their truck down the road, and there's a small child in that front lawn, and they run out, That driver could not see into that person's front yard, into our personal property. And so that leaves a huge window for a problem. And all of us are concerned about that problem. We are concerned about the children, we are concerned about our animals, we're concerned about the welfare of the livestock and the animals that are in our own neighborhoods. We're concerned about the water, the gas lines, the road. It said asphalt, but someone brought up a great point. That's not asphalt.
It's barely a half an inch thick in most areas of Margaret McKenna and
It's not asphalt.
It's not asphalt. I grew up in that neighborhood. Every summer up into the 70s, almost to the 80s, a layer of oil and a layer of sand. That's that entire road surface. The only part that's asphalt is from the beginning of Lincoln Street to about 3rd Ave because it needed to be reconstructed after a project. So that road's going to break apart, it's going to flake. Now what happens to our water? What happens to our gas lines? We do have natural gas. Are we going to have exploding houses because they break a gas line with that much traffic?
And is that coming out of our pocket if it's on our property?
I see you, but the gentleman over here had his hand up, so give me 1 second. Go ahead, Sid.
Don McNeil, 1113 Ave. I saw the video of the last meeting in April, and you said that removing part of the 1 million cubic yards of earth is going to be paid for your project. What percentage of that earth removal is necessary, or is necessary to do what you're going to do, and what percentage is necessary for you to get some money?
50%.
50%. Okay, so that cuts it down by half.
No, I have to put up 50% and then I sell the earth removal to fund the 50%. I can't do this project without selling that soil.
That's what I'm saying. So half of it, you get rid of it to fund it.
Yes, that's a break-even project.
And you're beating the snot out of Lincoln Street. I come down that street twice a day. You turn right onto 13th Ave, and it's like this. You're coming right out that dirt road. Water line on my side of 13th Ave and on the other end of 13th Ave, both let go this past winter. And that's on the side street. That's not even on the main Lincoln Street. The infrastructure is not designed for the weight of these vehicles. You know, we put up with it for a month in September or October when you're harvesting the cranberries, which is acceptable. That's your business. We can't stop you for that. But this is very inconvenient. You're talking about years, disrupting our lives for years. And for what?
To stay in business.
To stay in business? You gotta have other options.
I'm sorry.
Hold on. He had his hand up over here.
Steve Goodman, 24th Ave, that's the corner of 4th and Lincoln. I did, like this woman was saying, I spent my entire life savings, took my VA loan for the first time ever, and that's it. That's where I'm gonna die. I'm only in my 40s, but that's the house I'm gonna live in for the rest of my life, because that's everything I have. Now, there's some numbers that people aren't really talking about. If you do the numbers really quick, has anybody been on that street when 2 trucks drive past? You can't even walk on the side. You're actually, in some spots, you're gonna be driving on people's private properties if you try to pass 2 trucks. The other thing is the numbers that people aren't really thinking about. What happens, okay, the project goes through, you guys finish, the project's great, everything's wonderful, you've doubled your production. That means every September, October, and half of November, double the amount of cranberry trucks are also gonna be driving across Lincoln Street from now in perpetuity. So the entire infrastructure under that needs to be done because it's a permanent problem. It's not just these few years of doing the project, which is gonna be a huge problem to begin with. Because what happens when all those lines break this winter? Because everything's going to. The other thing nobody's talking about is the environmental impact of the property around you. Has anybody done an impact study, the property behind where you plan on working? Because I take a walk out there almost every day. I've been walking out there since I bought my house in 2020. There are parts of that property out there that probably should be protected as they've been monitored or reviewed by anyone from the Conservation Commission in the last 10 or 20 years. There are old walking trails back there behind the bog going towards the creek that leads to the Burridge, which, as everyone knows, is also protected land. Between the bog and the creek, in those woods are vernal pools. Endangered species live in those vernal pools. Nobody's gone out to look at that, nobody's monitored that.
As part of the process is to come and see you first, and then we'll go to the Conservation Commission.
Right, but not necessarily the property that they own, because I don't know where their property line is, but the property they bought back there that's owned by, I don't know, between their property and the Verge. I mean, just the wildlife impact is gonna be tremendous, because where are those animals all gonna go? They're gonna all come into our yards.
Yep.
Because it's either going to the lake or coming to my yard. Just things that I think that this committee and the Conservation Commission need to think about before anything gets approved. It's not always about money.
Was there someone over here that just had their hand up?
Hi, my name is Brad Smith, I'm from 116 Lincoln Street. There's a lot of things I want to say, but one of them is the quality of life. I bought that house about 5 years ago. I think you guys were on your first run on it. When all those trucks were coming down, the dirt trucks. There were no windows to be opened that summer. The vehicles were trashed constantly. Outside life was non-existent because of the dust and the dirt. It was pretty bad. I lost a water line that I had to pay for that broke in half because the house is old. Water lines run underneath the basement. They run 30 feet, and they're rattling the whole summer. So, if you have any other ways out, any other contingencies that you thought about, different thing, put in another road, anything else on deck? Or just Lincoln Street?
Does anyone here have any thought has anybody talked to?
Hold on,
Hold on a second.
hold on. We're gonna get an answer, we're gonna try to get an answer to his question. Guys, if we explore another.
It's our only legal entrance.
Okay.
There is a right-of-way by way of Nazarella's farm, but it's not an actual road. The road would have to be traded out, and then it comes right next to the town hall.
So it'd be down Hemlock.
Doesn't sound too difficult. Tatum, you don't have access.
We don't have access rights.
It's not illegal.
No.
They requested, they previously requested permission.
Hold on, guys.
They previously requested permission to access through Nazarella's, and it's been denied, so.
Have you guys tried this go-round at all? To ask for access?
That's what he just said, we just asked and it was denied.
Oh, I thought he said previous.
Previously.
He said previous.
But did you ask for this project?
But for this project in particular?
Yes.
Okay.
Right, yeah, you know, last week I was at 16, 13,000 a month. Again, multi-generation here. There's over 200 houses in our neighborhood. The disruption would just be unbelievable. And a lot of those houses, they're rebuilt cottages. They're not made for, like she was saying, the vibration and all of that. You know, we've invested a lot of money. Why can't you come through here? You'll only be disrupting 10 houses versus 200 houses. I mean, like you were saying, those roads, travel down those roads. A school bus and a car can't even pass each other. I mean, and you're talking, like you said, at least one truck every 3 minutes, if not more. For how many years? 7? You know, it keeps changing, the years keep changing.
Well,
Well, they haven't put the timeline in yet.
to be
so-
fair, we've been changing the window
Yeah,
as well.
but as it should be, because you shouldn't be going there from 7 to 55. I mean, how are people gonna come home and try and get to their houses? I mean, it just, I don't know. Why can't you come down here and come out this way?
So they don't have legal access.
Yeah.
They don't own the
It's
property.
private
And
property.
Lincoln Street is a public way.
But we
Which-
all own private
which-
property.
You know, everybody in town pays taxes.
Right, but if they were trying to drive across your lawn and they asked,
They will be. They will be. There's no home. There isn't.
I would like to go see a property.
Yeah, I think that
We need to do a field trip.
we need to do a site visit like you had suggested. I know that you guys have a lot of other things, I's to dot and T's to cross, and people to speak with, and water commissioners, and I don't think we're at a point in this project to vote on it either way.
I agree.
I appreciate you guys coming here and asking for a continuation, because I think that's important for this particular thing. Or if you have to reevaluate the project, or whatever you need to do, put back together, and then we can let everyone know when that will be. I would suggest our first August meeting. that way it gives us July to do site visits, and, I mean, July's just a weird month with holidays, and, you know, you guys are,
What's the date?
August 9th is our first.
And do the sidewalk in the interim?
Yes.
Before that,
Yeah, before
yes.
that, we'll deal with all that stuff in July, and that will give you guys the month to get all the other variables put together. Do you think that gives you enough time, or do you want to go to the 2nd August? The second meeting.
Yeah, we can try this, and if we can get the data together, we'll request.
So it'll be the 23rd of August would be the other meeting that month.
Who did you say you had reached out to?
Hydrologist, yeah, hydro-geo.
Can you try to get an answer from them if they think the 9th is reasonable?
Sure.
And then if not, so we're not.
Yeah, we won't bring you guys to.
Continue the date tonight.
But if they,
I mean, I guess we can always continue
can't
it
make
again,
contingent
but-
if they can't.
Right, we'll
get
try to
answers
give you
from
notice so
them.
that people don't have to come out.
Adrian McDougal, 32 Hillside Ave, but my backyard actually is 113 Lincoln Street. And I have two questions actually. Number one would be, what were the guidelines put down on what the abutters list is? Because I heard people on the corner of Lincoln and 11 were getting certified abutter notice. I didn't get one, but I'm on, people on First Ave, I don't even, it doesn't make any sense. Everybody in this neighborhood should have a written notice. Not everybody is on, we have a lot of older people in this neighborhood. It's very important.
So we can make sure that when the next hearing comes up.
I think it's 198 houses. And then,
What is the amount?
backpacking on what Cheyenne was saying with property lines.
Right.
These properties were like created so long ago before the property lines even went in. So a lot of the homes, a lot of the yards are like beyond the property lines.
So there's a certain circumference area that we have to alert, and then it goes to the newspaper, or
So
you have to alert,
foresters-
then it goes to the newspaper, but, we'll make sure that,
So the assessor produces the abutter list, and it's based on the dimension. I forget if it's 300 or 100 for this meeting. So
Yeah, but that doesn't make sense.
they
That's-
produce it and they
that's just what the,
certify.
rule. That's what the rule
They produce
is.
it, they certify it, and we have to submit proof of notification for that certified list, which we did.
So if you feel like you should have.
If you could answer my question,
And it is.
why are people on First Ave, 11th Ave, who are further away from the project, notified but not?
I can try.
That's what he's answering.
Hold on, listen.
It is possible that a certified mailer got sent out that wasn't picked up. They try several, it happens, we get them returned to us regularly.
I mean,
And it could be in that packet that we submitted. I'm not sure, I'm just giving you what happens.
I understand.
And the property is so oddly shaped, I don't know exactly where that lot is, but maybe it's just outside the.
So Adrian, we'll make sure we talk to the assessor's office and make sure they have the proper abutters list, okay?
Okay, I'll print it out for you.
Go ahead.
I'll do my best. Charlie Ward, 112 Lincoln Street. First off, every time one of those trucks come by full, it feels like an earthquake. And we had one not that long ago, a couple years ago, it feels like an earthquake when they go by. And I have to live with that. The other thing is that no one else has said anything about, what about first responders? With all those trucks going through there, you cannot pass 2 trucks through there. So if there's a fire, there's an ambulance trying to get through, seconds count. What are we supposed to do? Wait for all the trucks to go by so we can get help?
We'll take your question and then we're gonna vote on continuing this or not. 'Cause we'll have a whole meeting.
Don Bosworth, Water Commissioner. I got a bunch of questions, 1,000 questions. I've worked construction all my life. Now, if you guys do this, you're gonna drain all your hydraulic oil and put vegetable oil in your machines to do this? Because that's the law. If you break a hose and hydraulic gets on the ground, who's cleaning that up? That means you're gonna call the environmental to clean it up. Another thing, you're already encroaching on our wells in the plans, and now you're gonna be putting pesticides on top of that. I mean, come on. And the EPA's already sent us a letter telling us we we don't like you, you don't want to do that, we don't want you to do that. So if we're gonna get into this, we're gonna call the EPA, and then they're gonna go down, because we're, water commissioners, they're all over us for the pumps in, Richmond Park. And we're, the water contamination that we're putting into it is cleaning up the water. Now, if you guys destroy our wells, that's our second choice of wells, what are we gonna do then? If we break down a pump in, Richmond Park, it's just not right. We advise not to do this.
I need a motion.
And I have worked on machines all my life. I work for Little Dryden. We go to Saquosh a lot. We're working on the ocean. Now the EPA, not EPA, but I forget who, they made him change 2 machines to drain all the hydraulic oil out and put bio oil in. And it took them 2 times, because they drain the oil, they fill it up with bio oil, they run the machine, they gotta drain the bio oil and the contaminated oil out, and then they gotta put the bio oil back in. Now, are you guys willing to do that? No answer?
If it's conditioned, if it's conditioned.
Yeah, but you guys, have you done that already on your lots? With your machines that are there?
Machine, the vegetable oil.
Huh?
Any machine that goes on the bottom.
Look at the excavator that's out there right now.
It's not on the bottom.
It's not on it, it's in.
No, even near our wetlands, if you lose hydraulic oil, if you have a broken hose, you break a fuel line on a truck, I've done it all. I've been in construction all my life. So I know what you guys are doing. And like I said, I'm a water commissioner. I've been there, I think, 12 years now, and I advise not to do it. I mean, if you guys are gonna put this to a vote, no. I would say no.
So what they're asking for today is a continuation and for us to do a site visit. So I would look for a motion to continue this hearing to August 9th, and in the meantime, we'll figure out a date to do a site visit.
I make a motion to figure out a date to do site visit, continuance to August 9th, or contingency that if we're gonna be back here on August 9th, and you say if we had 2 more weeks, we could have answers, we can move it.
Yeah, we'll just have to reopen it on the 9th and move it.
Yeah, that's.
So, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. See you then.
Thank you.
We'll do it at 6 o'clock.
Have a great night, guys. Thanks for coming.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock on that meeting. 6 o'clock.
We'll talk about that when we get the site visit. If we don't go as a board, it's not a public site visit, so if we go individually. If the board doesn't go together and there's no quorum, it's not a public visit, it's them taking us individually. So I'll talk with sports and Daniel. It depends how we do the visit. We're gonna recess. We're gonna recess for a second. We're gonna recess for 5 minutes and let this go. We'll go back in 5 minutes. Hey, we're calling the meeting back to order. Anybody who wants to continue to talk, you're more than welcome to step outside.
We talk about a bike ride now? Oh no, we got the.
Yeah, but that's what we're back to. We're back to this. We're
Puppies
done.
and happy stuff.
We have a.
Ballerini.
Ballerini.
But we'll get to that. So we had a 6:40. No, hold on. We have a 6:30 with Colby that we're gonna get to. But our 6:40 Pam can't make it, so can we move that to that Thursday meeting where we're doing the appointment? Okay. See if she can make it to that. And then Colby, if you wanna come up. Sorry for the delay. Thank you for waiting. Oh my gosh. I feel like we're ending like this now. Of course it is. I got it. It's fine. It's all good. Perfect. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? Why you'd like to be a part of the beautification committee?
seeing for the rest of our lives, raising our family. So it's being part of the town and part of things that make it more beautiful do matter to me. But aside from that, picking up trash, honestly, is something that I've done with my kids from a young age. And last year when I got to take part in the trash pickup day, kind of just like hit a special place in my heart, and I just wanted to do more and be more a part of it if I could. And when I knew that there was some openings, I wanted to go for it and try to be part of the committee to keep it going and make sure that it doesn't stop. I wanted to support it in any way that I could.
Good.
Amy, has she met with the beautification committee?
Yes.
She has, and the beautification committee.
Yeah.
Perfect. Anybody?
No, I thank you for stepping up. I really, really do. That's awesome. And it's if we have more people like you in town, we'll have a better town. You know, so I appreciate you stepping up and trying to help out.
Thanks. We have a motion. What is the date on this? You don't have it?
It's a year, so it'll be June 30th, 2023, because it's a year one, so we
Okay.
normally have it expire
So,
at the end of this month,
June
and then turn
30th,
around.
2023.
Are we trying to get them all on the same date?
No, they're all
All over the place?
It all.
Okay.
But this is.
We do have 2 resignations from people who moved out of town, so we can move one in right away.
Okay.
Right, and they've all sent in their resignation letters.
Yes, we have that.
I think it's 3.
3, right, Adrian Barkley, Michelle Barkley, Jill.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So how many open spots do you have now?
3
We'll
open
have
spots.
2.
Okay, got it.
So we need a motion to appoint Colby Silva to a 1-year term on the beautification committee, expiring June 30th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Colby.
Welcome aboard. Thank you.
All right, well, it's 6:50, so I guess we go to the chief.
I know.
Kaufman.
That's why I need our technical crew here. I was told that we would be ready to roll with a. Down in the office. So just so everybody knows, the man running point on our fire chief search is a man named Jack Parrow. We just wanted to touch base with him to go over the process and to see where we are. Unfortunately, Mr. Parrow is on the North Shore doing an assessment center today. He would not have time to get here to appear in person, but he did agree to calling in. So we're going to try to get that set up and put it out there so you guys can hear him talk. The magic of phones.
So we're waiting on Caesar.
Yes.
Caesar.
I just tried to call him. Do you see him?
Yes. Good time.
I got it.
Don't worry, Caesar, we're waiting on you.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. Hey, Jack. Jack, can you hear me? Where am I talking to?
I can believe some might be very echoey, but.
Where am I talking to here? Microphone in front. Jack, can you hear me now? This is Jonathan Seelig from Halifax.
Microphones are just coming out.
What's
Very distant and very.
Which microphone?
I think I can get those.
Where
are we trying to talk to this guy?
Right in front of you.
This?
Can't hear it.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Jack. We're a little bit of confusion on where we're talking to on this end.
Rather just stand up and go hold it.
I guess. Can you hear me now?
Yes, much better.
Awesome. Just to let you know, you are
Like a radio.
right. Hey, spin in the flowers that matter. So you are here at our Board of Selectmen meeting here in Halifax. I have Alex Mead and Ashley DeSessa here. You are being videotaped. Your voice is on Area 58, public access cable. And we just wanted to touch base with you on our fire chief search and kind of see how things are going right now.
Okay, very good.
Go ahead.
So my understanding is you're in the process of selecting the selection committee.
That is correct.
Yes. And so I had a few questions just starting out with that, with selecting the committee. I didn't know if the town administrator or the board were going to hand out a formal charge to the search committee, when they start, what their duties are, how they can mobilize at the very end and goes down the committee, or is it going to be more informal?
I'm open to both. We do have, I believe there are 8 candidates for our citizen at large on the committee. I have some ideas on how we'd like to approach it, but I would like to float it by the board to see what their thoughts are. But in your experience past, Jack, what have other towns done as far as your screening committees?
The screening committee, typically it's, if a board member could be the town administrator. Sometimes the town administrators like to stay out of it. And then, the citizens at large. We have a small board, so you can't put two board members on it. But, some of the larger boards with 5 members would put 2 board members on it. But, I saw some of the candidates, the library director, a past selectman, that looks good. If we have public safety people, you want to keep them somewhat limited, just because, you don't want the whole thing to be one-sided. Typically, it's difficult to use in-house candidates because, they're looking to pick their own fire chiefs, but typically there are residents in the community that, have a strong fire background or EMS background, which is just as important, and, they make good committee members. And, it just has to, you just have to interview the candidate and make sure that they're objective and they're not coming in with a closed mind.
Sure.
But other than that, it's, during the structured interview, I'll be on that structured interview, so, I like to consider myself as the fire service expert in that case, and then the search committee typically, observes the structured interview, so as I can walk through the steps a little bit more, but typically they observe the structured interviews, and then at the end there's a period where, the whole search committee and those conducting the interview, minus the candidate, discuss what they thought about that candidate. And then we move on to the next candidate.
Sure. So that was my question, Jack. I believe we have our committee pretty much set up as far as myself from the select board. We have chief jobs from the police station. We have our interim fire chief, Jeff Kuzo. We have our town administrator, Ed Thorne. Am I forgetting anybody?
Citizen at large.
What's that?
Citizen at large.
And our citizen at large. So for citizen at large, and I'll tell you folks, I was thinking of using 2, to be honest. I was thinking 1, we have a department head here in town, and we have a former selectman. I think both are great candidates for the citizen at large. And then the other kind of citizen at large, who put her name in, is the administrative assistant over at the fire station, where she will be dealing with this person on a daily basis. I think it might be good to have her input as well, both as her fire experience and as a citizen. She's a local citizen here in Halifax as well.
Help pick her boss.
Yes, I think they'll all work. We'll make it work. It's usually a pretty good mix. Helps to make it work because, everybody has their own specialties, and I think that sounds like a pretty good mix.
Okay, so I guess in talking to my selectmen here that, they want to have input as well, and I'm totally for that as far as our citizen at large goes. But again, I guess my question for you is, at what point does this committee get involved in the screening? Do you make an initial screening and then you bring that first round of candidates after you've screened to us, or are we right out of the gate?
Well, I think that would be wise. once I look at the candidates, because some people just, put their names in and really don't meet, any of the qualifications in the job description. So I do have the Halifax chief's job description, and I would like, the candidates to, at least come up to some of that. So I can say, for example, we did, in a neighboring community, we did a search, and we had somebody from Virginia that worked for the Department of Transportation. I had no prior experience or whatever, but just put his application in. So, those are easy. If they have prior experience and they meet supervisory experience and have the other things we're looking for in the job description, I think we're moving forward with the search committee and the search committee to say, yeah, they're a very weak candidate, and we'll move on. To kind of walk you through the process, once you establish the search committee, I think one of the most important things we have to stress to the search committee, and as the board of selectmen and the town administrator, I'm sure you understand this, but the search committee may not, is that we have to keep all these candidates, especially in the preliminary stages, their names completely confidential. We can't have, people calling the fire chief just because they happen to know him in a neighboring community where someone applied and, checking up on him. It's just, the search committee has to, be very focused on doing a search within the committee, not really, and looking at the resumes and staying focused on what they have in front of them, especially in the initial stages. So it's you can lose candidates. Once, if it gets out that this person, is looking for the job, it may not favor him very well in his whole community, especially a fire chief. So, I think, until you really get it narrowed down to the final three or whatever you narrow it down to, I think those names prior to that should be held in complete confidence. So, that's just one thing that, you have to stress to the committee members, just so they understand it, because it's unfair if they don't know that they have to keep it confidential. You can't blame them for letting it out, but it could hurt the whole process on both sides. So the candidate applying and for the town of Halifax.
So, go ahead. Well, I was just going to say, our window, I think, closes, I believe we're this week, is when our deadline is. Do you have a ballpark, Jack, as to when our screening committee can meet and start digging into these?
I think once you get the committee together, we could start meeting, get the resumes out. Once they know that they're charged and they have to keep everything quiet, I would say review the resumes, and I'm assuming we're going to get a few in the last couple of days, but review the resumes next week, so we can send the resumes out to them next week with the chief's job description. And the following week, I think we should have our first meeting.
Okay, so you're looking, thank you. So you're
the
looking
week of the 26th.
26th, okay.
We would have our first meeting sometime that week.
Okay. Would it be okay if I reached out to the members of our committee just to make sure they have availability and get back to you on an exact date, or do I need to give them a date? Yeah. Is that okay, Jack, if I reach out to you?
I'm as flexible as you want to be.
Okay.
There's no problem. So, my thought would be, we'll get the job description and the resumes out to those on the committee, and then they'll review the resumes and see if we have enough candidates to move forward. I think, if you only have, say, 10 resumes right now, and there's only 1 or 2 good candidates, maybe we need to decide if we're going to, what plan B is. Do we re-advertise? Do we advertise in different places? Do we do some other type of outreach? So we don't want to move forward if we don't have, some quality candidates that we can interview.
Okay. All right, so why don't I set it as, we'll see what we have at our deadline this week. We'll get resumes and cover letters to our committee, and then we'll circle back week of the 26th with our first meeting. And I would assume you're looking to do some Zoom? Is that where you are?
Totally up to you. I think it's a lot easier for the candidates, especially, with a search committee, typically you end up meeting at night. So, because most of them work during the day, so it makes it a lot easier, and of course, again, it depends on how many candidates we're going to interview. If we're going to interview 8 and we're going to do them at night, that's probably going to be 2 or 3 nights to get through, 8 to 10 candidates.
All right, why don't I reach out to our screening committee and kind of survey them and see what they say.
Okay, and then, we can go through with the committee, I'll discuss what the structured interview process is, how the interviews will be structured, number of questions, we can set up the time, how many minutes we're going to have for each interview, and, a period in between the interviews, especially on Zoom, it makes it a lot easier. I can set that up if you want. As I mentioned, I think at one point I used GoToMeetings, but it works very similar. Okay. Who will be asking the questions? Typically, most of the structured interviews I do, the town wants maybe 1 or 2 people to ask the questions. So typically, once we decide on the questions, I start out on the questions to try to keep us, on time, and maybe a member of the board or the town administrator would like to ask 2 or 3 questions that we already have decided on, and HR, which I'm not sure if you have an HR, we have usually a couple of HR questions they can use or ask, and typically if we don't have HR there, then I can ask those questions. And so we do that. Set up the dates for the interviews. Once we set up the dates, we decide who we're going to move forward. Set up the date of the interviews, then the town administrator, you and myself, could get together and we'll develop the questions. I have some sample questions we've used, over the past years that, are still very relevant, and, you may want to tweak them a little bit more towards Halifax, and that will work. We'll conduct the structured interviews, and then, the committee, the search committee will report out on the top candidates to move forward. And so that'll be the end of really the search committee, and then we push those candidates forward. If we have enough candidates, we just, decide how we're going to narrow those down, whether we're going to have, more of a one-on-one type interview with the final 2 or 3, and, maybe then we do the reference checks and, some of the background work on them, and I think we can narrow it down.
Yep, you still there?
Tight? Yes.
Yep. No, so
my philosophy is not to narrow it down too tight, so we don't back ourselves into a closet with just one candidate. I'd like to typically have 3 candidates that we can talk to, 3 good candidates. Make sure they're still willing to come to Halifax. Make sure they're still looking for the price range, because if we narrow it down to 1 candidate, just move that 1 candidate forward, that 1 candidate's holding all the cards.
Sure.
And so I think, we need to, if we have, 3 good qualified candidates, we kind of move them forward as a group, do some reference checks, make sure that they're still interested, make sure that the salary range is still agreeable, and then we can really, then the town can really decide from there and feel confident that somebody they pick is going to actually take the job.
Awesome. I think it all sounds great. I think I'm going to reach out to my committee, see what their availability is the week of the 26th, and I will get back to you with a date. Selectmen cohorts, any other questions for Jack at all?
I don't think so.
No. Awesome. I appreciate your time, Jack. Thank you very much.
Excellent. I wish you the best of luck on this, and have a nice week.
Thanks. You too.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Okay, Google, hang up. Sorry,
Jackson's thorough.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Jack is very thorough. Yeah. So, Pam, do we have that list of? So, do you have that list of candidates today? Behind the blue? Sorry. Yeah. We gotta do some jumping. Did you find it?
Yep. So paperclip in the back.
Paper clip in the back, behind the green, behind the blue.
The last, under mine, the last papers.
There we go. Got it. Citizen at large.
Yeah, but we take it out.
Okay, we want to wait?
I feel like we should in case anybody wanted to.
We can wait.
Right.
It's,
Sorry, but
sure, yeah, if we need to wait, we can wait.
it's just we didn't
We
take
didn't
that
take
out of
it,
order.
we didn't vote to
And
take it
it's
out of order.
In the agenda.
Oh, yeah. In the agenda.
Just hold off on it.
We'll hold off.
And we have a 7:10 with the police station.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, absolutely.
So, chief.
You're all out, boys.
Okay.
How's everyone doing tonight?
Ready?
Ready for the chair?
I'm ready for you to talk.
So,
I'm ready for you.
So I asked to meet the board and have the members of the, you guys are? Park commissioners, president as well, to deal with an issue that's been going on for, well, last couple of years, but I mean, it's been an ongoing problem for many years before that. And that's the beach on 4th Ave, and specifically the boat ramp. So May 22nd, right, that weekend, we had unseasonably hot weather, and we had like an influx of residents, non-residents, recreational vehicles utilizing our lake. And like the buoys that had been put out there, they kind of caught it by surprise. So then there was a lot of back and forth on social media, some things that I wasn't really happy with, that I was informed about that was being said, and I think you just don't like the tone of some of the things that were being said, and I thought that to have a public forum where the residents can see the video, kind of know that we're trying to work this problem out and kind of look for ideas to try to mitigate this problem before it gets any worse. So some of the issues that we found is that the signage at the beach is terrible. Some of these fixes are going to probably, if the town decides to do it, are going to cost the town a bit of money. Because I would recommend some new signage there that's clear, that's visible, that people can understand, bilingual signage. There's a lot of people that utilize our beaches don't speak the language, or they don't have the grasp of the English language. They should. Looking at possibly having some sort of attendant or monitor at the entrance to the parking area. As you know, if you get a probably recycling thing, you get a beach sticker that allows you to use a parking lot. So park for town residents only. And I think our bylaws, I think we increased it a couple of years ago. For non-residents, it's a higher fee. We can look at increasing that fee, have somebody there to monitor that. I think just having that person there to watch the vehicles go through will minimize that issue. So that's another suggestion. Hire a high school kid over the summer. Everybody's always looking for jobs for young people. The cost that we get from non-residents that want to utilize the parking could be to offset the salary of that person. Just thinking outside the box again. So then we have the issue of the state boat ramp across on 58, which we don't have the authority there. So what's happening is they're dropping off their jet skis and ferrying people over to the boat ramp on 4th Avenue, and then people are utilizing the beach. I don't know how common that is. I know last year I had gotten some complaints about it. I don't know if this was an issue on this weekend. So we've kind of reached out to the environmental police. They've come down already a couple of weekends. Obviously, we can't get into the water. We're on the boat. We had a boat, but budget cuts. So I've had some conversation with the common police chief. He's willing to offer up his boat, one of their operators, to team up with one of our officers to kind of patrol the waterways. Obviously, we would have to reach out to the Coast Guard to kind of do a safety thing for I mean, a lot of guys that own boats, but I think just the liability of having somebody that's not familiar with boating, I think it'd probably be a good thing to have a Coast Guard come in, do a safety thing, a briefing, or even somebody from the environmental police. And I think just the presence, to have an officer there, because in speaking to some of the supervisors on those weekends, the minute they see a cruiser there, either with a boat ramp, it would be environmental police, or at 4th Avenue, be one of our guys, the activity ceases. They stop ferrying people over. So that's that's one of the issues. The other issue is that complaints from the residents about the jet skis coming too close to the swim area. When this weekend occurred, the buoys weren't out there yet, so they're there now. They need repairs. They need to be replaced. I'm even suggesting some like almost like speed signs, headway speed, to kind of show people that this is a restricted area.
Thank you.
Slow down. So in speaking with the environmental police captain at one of our chiefs meetings in Plymouth, he is well aware of this occurrence that's happening throughout the state. Any area where there's waterways now, they have an influx of recreational jet skis, people utilizing the boat ramps improperly. So it's an ongoing problem. They have limited resources. There's only, I was surprised at this number, 70-something environmental police officers throughout the whole Commonwealth. So they've been very good to us. They've had guys come down and do the enforcement on the boat ramp. Obviously, we're on the list for them to put a boat in the water for some enforcement, but that could be July, that could be August, we don't know. Again, it's an issue that's dependent on the weather. If we keep praying for the rain gods, for rain on every Sunday,
No, we don't want rainy Sundays.
because that's usually what day it happens. They just want to go out, enjoy some weather and a couple of drinks and stuff like that. The stuff on the beach itself, I'll make sure that my guys are addressing it, the open drinking, stuff like that. And then the other stuff, we'll try to address it as best as we can. But I just want to reassure the board and the residents that we are aware of the problem. It's an ongoing problem, and we are going to hopefully address it in a meaningful way. Tom,
Tom, yeah, go ahead, Tom.
I totally agree with the chief. We've been having this problem with the 58 boat ramp program. People launching their boats in jet skis and just, like you said, bringing people over 4th Ave and dropping them off. And they also bring their cars along 4th Ave, drop stuff off and leave and stuff. But once you're on the sand, once you're on the beach, you really can't do anything with it.
Right.
They're not really parking, some are parking in the 4th Ave, Union Street beach area, but some aren't. So there's not a lot of ticketing and stuff too, but.
Yeah, so, I'm sorry to cut you off. So on, what day is this? On May 31st, I'm sorry, this is on May 30th, we issued 7 parking tickets for vehicles that were illegally parked at one residence. Chief, was that Memorial Day on May?
So this is the 30th, so I think, yeah, that
might have
was
been
all day
Memorial Day.
weekend.
Yeah.
So, and that was between the hours, so 6 o'clock. Yeah, so 6 o'clock. Sergeant Sterling went through there on Officer LaRue.
Yeah, Memorial Day.
And, yeah, they issued a bunch of parking tickets.
The parking ticket fee, I believe in Halifax, Chief, is only $15, $20.
Yeah, it's minimal.
It's kind of minimal. That's one thing my board, myself, would like to bring up, probably with you, or maybe go to town meeting, to increase the parking fee, no parking fee, $25, $30,
Yeah.
because they just kind of look at it like, yeah, we'll just deal with this later.
Sure.
It's not really mind-boggling to them, and they're like, oh, gee, So I think we gotta increase that also, I think I'd like to increase that, and, it's been an ongoing problem, and I'm happy to team up with the chief here and see what else we can do. But I do believe that his thinking of a boat in the water would help a lot. I know years ago we had a police boat up there and stuff, and they did a lot of ticketing, myself included. They got ticketed, but no, we got to do something with them. And like I said, it's just a whole problem. It just happens on the weekends, Saturday or Sunday, every day.
Yeah, it's usually, what we've found is it's a Sunday. Because Saturday, a lot of these guys, they work construction, Monday through Friday, Saturday they're doing, jobs on their own. Actually, and then on Sunday it's kind of like their day.
Yeah.
So, they get out there and.
But also the people that are coming over from launching their boats on 58 boat ramp aren't even town residents.
Sure.
They're not even in the Plymouth County. They come in, some of the parking tickets you might look at, some of the addresses are like Lounge, Lorica, Chief?
So we got, Bridgewater, Pembroke, Whitman, Pembroke again. But we in the past we've had people from Waltham and Medford and up that way, and which was amazing to me when I first got here, because I was like, all right, where is this oasis of a beach that everybody wants to come to?
What are you trying to say?
I'm not saying anything. So I think we have a great beach, and I think that it obviously shows that people from all along the Commonwealth want to use it. But it's an ongoing problem that speaking with the captain, that everybody from Duxbury, Cohasset, all the way up, are having the same problem. Plymouth, they're all having the same issues. A lot of these more of these lakes, I think. What Tommy was saying is that the fines are minimal, so, to pay $25 to use the beach in Halifax compared to paying $100 in Duxbury to use the town beach if you're not a resident, they're gonna go here.
Save some money.
Maybe there's a way we can also look at a non-resident parking fee or usage fee, maybe to deter these people, or just trying to get some revenue out of them so we can do more improvements on the beach also. Maybe we could come up with some type of fee for non-residents, you want to park there, fine, just here's a parking fee for the month or 2 months, whatever. Make it substantial, I would say $50, $75. When you go to Duxbury, how much is Duxbury?
A lot.
Yeah.
And they only give out so many.
And you got plovers to deal with.
And then, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, is part of that, I like the idea, Tommy, but is part of the issue just non-compliance? And people that, even if there's, trying to skirt around, just to try to get through that?
They know how to do it, they bring their boats and jet skis over.
Sure.
They park them there, and then they shuttle their vehicles over on 4th Ave. You can't stop them from driving in and dropping stuff. you know.
So it sounds like even if we did have a non-resident sticker, I still think the issue is checking, is validating these and having
Yeah.
somebody
Yeah,
to
maybe
look
we can-
and check.
Maybe we can get out in the beach and talk to some of these people too and say, hey, since you're coming here and stuff, and why get hassled, just, we have a fee, parking, a resident, non-resident fee for you, or something like that. I don't know, but it's been an ongoing problem. And like the other years past, when we had the boat police, I call them, it worked out fine. They controlled the water, because a lot of these people, kids or whatever, they're not water savvy, I guess. Like no weight, can slow them down on the beach and the swim areas and stuff like that. That's why I was showing the chief, some of these buoys. I did have a buoy that said the swim area, and I can't find it. So we'll probably have to get some of these buoys to help the situation and at least show that we're trying to, we're trying to do our part.
Does the Park Commission have a deadline for their buoys? Do you guys have Memorial Day weekend, or should we get something on the books to get it out by a certain date?
We've tried to get them out. The last time they get put out, I think Mike Schleich put them out. We try to put them out and bring them in at normal time and stuff.
Thinking maybe Memorial Day seems to be one of the big days of the year, so maybe have it. Maybe that could be our deadline going forward to get our buoys out to be ready for the weekend. Mike.
Question for the chief, maybe side. How many calls did you get this past weekend for down there? In general, we went out of calls.
I don't think we got any. I don't think it was a cold weekend.
Depends on the weather.
There have been several calls, also community policing going down and just talking to people in the area, just on patrol.
I know there was a call last Memorial Day on Monday the 30th that the chief mentioned. I heard the call on the radio was looking at Third Avenue residents complaining about the jet skis.
Right, there have been. We also, there have been a few residents around, like I said, just speaking with people, haven't called in, but we've informed them to call when there is any sort of disturbance going on. The majority of the people down there at the lot are families. There is definitely a communications barrier where I don't think that everyone exactly knows down there that they're actually not supposed to be parking down there.
Sure.
The signage is very confusing because it says the signage should be for Halifax residents only parking. Because I think a lot of times people are getting a little bit confused also with what authority that the police department actually has of going down to the beach. Like, we can't just go down to the beach and start checking IDs and asking if they're residents. That beach, I believe, is open to the public, but the parking there is only Halifax residents only with the sticker.
Your complaints generally are people that when you drive down the street, somebody will grab you and say, look at this or that.
Well, going up.
Other than the boat and the jet ski.
Can you say that again?
Other than the boat and the jet ski calls, we heard one on May 30th. I haven't heard anything since then. There was, again, I think the chief mentioned the 26th was the week before. We had that 3-day, 90-degree heat wave.
Yes.
Then there were multiple calls. The whole plant was out there. But generally, it seems the calls are from the aggressive jet skiing out on the pond.
Yes.
Not so much non-residents on the beach, but they're also part of this, kind of the same clique, if I may. They're bringing this up.
They are part of the same clique, but that's two totally different
separate issues.
Yes, but I mean, if there's people on the beach, like Tom said, I was down there on Memorial Day and I talked to some of the people down there, and some of your officers that were down there doing the tickets. And they are unaware of a lot of the rules that are down there, the signs are unaware, and they're quite willing to pay fees.
And to speak on that, I'm sorry, Mike,
in speaking with the captain, again, so again, this is a statewide type of problem, and the environmental police are trying to, have reached out to some of the different communities and are creating PSAs to kind of, almost like a grassroots informational thing to inform them of voting laws, of, parking issues. So I think, and I kind of offer them, any support that he might need, to reach out. As some of these communities that are very close knit, they're, tend to be kind of ultra religious. So I think, I kind of give them the advice of reaching out to some ministers or pastors and bring that up at some of their services. And I think what happens is that, they want to enjoy themselves like everybody else does. And I think if they're unaware of the rules, then that's when they're going to get into trouble.
Sure.
So I think, like Mike says, if we're informing them, if we're out there, and doing community policing and informing these people of what the rules are, I think it'll go a long way to kind of clean up, this issue as we go forward.
So you say Sunday is a big day down there?
That's been the
Sunday's a big day.
Yeah, Sundays.
Weekends.
Going down there barbecuing.
Sure. And we want them, for the most part, we want families to be able to, use the spot. Do you have your staff set up, chief, that, say we did look into an officer on a boat? Do you have boat officers, officers that are, to fit your schedule to make that work?
We have officers that fish, so
Okay.
that first. No, but, so that's why I kind of want to coordinate with obviously Chief Dufley, because he is going to provide the boat, so I got to make sure that it works in his schedule and the operator. Because, obviously, some of the guys have their own boats, that I'm not going to have, a stranger operate another town's boat, just for liability purposes. So I'm going to try to, I'm going to see the chief tomorrow at a meeting we have, and I'm going to try to coordinate something that maybe, every other, if it's possible with him, every other weekend, if he can provide the boat, I'll provide, an officer with, obviously, pay him overtime, whatever, because, can't pull from patrol, but try to have that presence there. I think that's going to go a long ways to do with insurance. Because what's going to happen is you show up with your buddies, and then you got a police boat on the water. First thing's like, oh shit.
Yeah. No. Shucks, I heard you. Shucks.
Oh
shucks. Yeah.
FCC.
Yeah.
And we have time to live.
There we do. Hit the button. Hit the button.
So, we got cops here.
Yeah.
So, you know what?
It changes the game a
Next
little
weekend,
bit.
we're going to go somewhere else.
Sure.
That's
Sure.
what I think that'll be.
Tonight, when the
Yep.
sun's off, so May 26th is that hot weather, 3-day night every weekend, it was havoc out there. The markers weren't out there. So we're just gonna have to get it out a lot sooner.
Yeah.
Get the markers out sooner for the beach area. In talking to them, I explained to most of the people on the beach, this is, you guys are pretty calm and steady, but if you know all these guys on the jet skis, tell them to put it out the hill of the lake.
Sure.
Get away from the shore, or you're gonna have these kind of hassles. And, I haven't heard any calls since, but it's only been one weekend since.
Yeah, it'll get busier.
But they understand. I talked to several groups up there, and they want to enjoy the beach like our kids and our families want to enjoy
Sure.
the beach.
Sure.
So I emphasize, we're going to try to get something going on the website. So just keep looking at the Halifax Town website. So at least it'll familiarize them with stuff. We'll try to get stuff up there that, informs them what's going on and what they're doing. With South Seas over there.
Do you guys have, Mike, funding for new signs, if you guys are looking to do signs?
Our budget was just enough to get a porta potty out there to keep the waste.
Should we, is there anything we can do as a committee to help them get some new
Chief, what do we
signs?
have in the traffic committee? Can we do anything with that? The traffic safety,
What?
the traffic safety committee?
We don't have any budget.
We don't have any budget in there either.
Yeah.
We were talking about.
The cupboard's plan.
If either Tommy or Mike can get me some prices, I can see what I can do with my magic dust.
So what I'm hearing is it sounds like a two-pronged approach. One is you want a boat in the water. You're working with the town of Carver for that. We're going to try to work out a schedule. You're going to work on trying to get an officer certified for liability
Well,
purposes.
I think we're just gonna have the Coast Guard come in and train the whole department. This way
Perfect.
we have, you know.
And then the other head of it would be signage. If you could please work on what you think would be appropriate signage for the parking area, maybe speak to the sergeant and make sure that everyone's on the same page as far as what it should say. I think both languages is a great idea. I'm sorry, not both languages, but multilingual, I think is a great idea. If you can pull together that, get a price on a couple buoys. Moving forward, we understand that we're gonna try to get the buoys out there a little sooner if we're expecting hot weather on holidays. I think that's how we attack this.
Yeah.
On that note, is it okay if Parks works with the chief on trying to get our policies down from the beach areas as well? You guys are actually his boss, or is it okay if we had the chief talk to our committee?
I agree,
To get some stuff put together, so we're in the same, so we're on the same page and running with fire.
Wait, so stuff, additional stuff that's on the website already? Like the bylaws and stuff, both the waterways?
I mean, is that on Parks, the beaches, or is that on general?
No, I got that from just general bylaws online. It's not specifically to your, right, I mean, put it on your,
Well, I guess what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The committee's been lighted, there's only been Tom on it for a number of years, it's been gathered. It's not as two members on it with Tom, we're trying to get this thing back up and the lakes for a good period of time, you couldn't go in, they were closed.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't have any of these. Now we finally got the lake working and now everybody's.
Sure. Yeah, we have to be ready for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot of things that we can work out. I think with police and fire, and get a presentation again.
I think that'd be great.
Sure, absolutely.
It's gonna happen overnight.
Why not?
Let's see, the fire department's got to put.
Because this is government.
I think that's a great idea.
It's not an autocracy, so we got channels. But I mean, the chief's got some good solid things here that, as personally myself, I would support any actions out there to calm it down, just to calm it down. We're fortunate to have a nice clean lake now, and you don't want to lose it to, having jet skis. You don't want water rolled out there, the smokers and the rest of the gangs.
So why don't you guys get together, because you guys know it a lot better than we do, right? Come up with a plan, if that's okay, and then present to us what you guys find out. Get some prices on buoys, on signage. Chief, we'll get our boat situation figured out. Summer's coming, right, so try to put the.
So we do need this overnight.
Yes.
We do need it overnight.
So how much time do you need? Do you need a couple weeks? Do you need to come back to us?
The biggest thing is to get prices for the signage, you know?
I guess my, right now is how is it now moving forward? Because we're already in summers in a week and a half. And, the warm weather's here, and everybody's out there. I guess the question is, how do we want to handle what we have now with your offices, with the parks? What can we do?
Well,
like I said, I popped down, I hear it on the scanner, I heard it on the scanner, I went down there, started talking to everybody, trying to, make it more sensible. I haven't heard a call since, but we definitely issues to address, so we just keep up a presence.
Yeah, I think, so I'll have a schedule. Yeah, I'll have a schedule on the boat tomorrow, hopefully by tomorrow. And then Tom can work on the signage, find a place that they'll do bilingual. And then I don't know if we can put something on the website, but again, they don't have any funding available to have, a kid here,
Right.
Just
That's why I brought up
that maybe for next year, kind of an advance.
But I mean, the same thing is, how do we raise fees? We go through the board of selectmen, they have it on a warrant for approval of town meeting. How do we raise the parking fees? How does the police do that process? Is that through the board, is it through
It would be
town meeting?
bylaw changes.
Yeah, it would have to be,
A non-resident pass, is that also town meeting?
Why don't you guys, Mike, come up with with all these ideas. Come up with the parking ideas, the non-resident, the resident, the increase in ticket, you know, do the whole soup to nuts thing. Come back to us with all those ideas.
We have to look into no resident.
What's
The
that?
resident passes too, I think, not that that is an open hearing, but I mean, we need to alert people that that could be a thing and hear what the residents have to say about that.
Sure. Can they at least get the ball rolling on
We
it?
can hear ideas from the Parks Commission.
Yeah,
Sure, yeah.
but
It only goes as far as the water's there.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, that's why I'm saying it's a two-pronged approach. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Heather, you have Amy's question in the back. Amy, did you have a question? Or do you want to?
I have a statement. Our
Yeah.
neighborhood in town do not want it to be a non-resident beach. They just want it to be Halifax.
Halifax
That's the
resident only.
sentiment of, remember all those people that were here
Yeah,
earlier?
I do.
That's the sentiment of all that, because then we have them traveling through our neighborhood and they're drinking, they're dropping trash. I mean, Tom, how much did we fill, like a whole bed of trash? A whole truck bed
Oh,
of
yeah.
trash
I
from
did it.
one day.
Yeah, I did a cleanup down there. There was some stuff down there.
Where do they drop it at? There's 2 barrels down there.
They just leave it like,
One
they're all around.
So people going down there, not people from the beach.
No, people from the beach, especially that one that, like, one day, we had to go to Halifax,
So,
and they're left
we're gonna have to meet with them again on Thursday to
of the
reappoint
glass bottles, alcohol bottles.
the police chief to go over everything that they're gonna bring back so we can approve to get.
They just really started from the was there for, just over the past couple of years.
That's all.
Are they down there?
Right.
Yeah. So why don't we have you guys work together, have the chief work his angle, have you guys come up with your approach for your buoys, your signs, your, all the other stuff you want to bring in spitball, and then come back, what were we saying, Ashley, next Thursday? That Thursday meeting, or?
We'll to be decided when they're gonna come back.
Okay.
Let's just get that moving.
All right, but yeah, if you guys don't mind getting that moving, that would be great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Is it okay with the chief?
Yeah, that was
Absolutely.
great, yep.
Absolutely.
And lastly, congratulations on you for last year. I didn't do congratulations last year. Congratulations on you also.
Thank you.
For your elections
Thank you.
this year.
Thank you, I think.
I wish you all the best.
Thanks, Mike.
Scott, we're a little
Sorry,
late on
Scott.
you, but we'll take you.
It's up to you.
No.
No?
Go ahead.
So this is the building thing?
Yep.
Yeah.
Reconfiguration.
Mr. Materna. What's going on?
Wait, do you have a copy?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, so it's been chatter in the town hall for a little bit to move offices around.
Right.
And I think the purpose originally was to make the offices most visited by the public be on the main floor, and then more admin offices upstairs, I think, is what I hear.
Yeah.
The most reasoning behind that.
And to create a better office for IT.
Yeah, the closet.
Yeah. The closet.
If you can just make his window open. No, I'm just kidding. And that. So, where do you stand on this? What's your thoughts? Where you're
So
gonna go?
I think there's been problems with every plan that's been brought forward.
Yeah.
Partly because the department heads aren't feeling that they're involved. Everyone wants to have some input. Everyone wants to be heard. So I think before we do anything, we should meet with all town hall department heads, not necessarily every department head in town, but all the ones that reside in the town hall. And then go from there. We should probably also include part of someone from the municipal and school building committee who oversees the buildings.
Mm-hmm.
Make them feel involved as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So who came up with this plan?
I'm not sure who.
The last department. Yeah. So the last department head meeting, we did discuss this, and there was a lot of ideas thrown around between multiple department heads, and Caesar had helped. So I think it was just the rough draft of what had started in that conversation.
Yeah.
My concern, and it's always been my concern, is some of these buildings the offices upstairs have a lot of filing cabinets and things they need to store and things of that nature. And I get hesitant with seeing where they're going to go, how much space that's gonna.
Well, I'm hoping in the moving process, it'd be a bit of forced spring cleaning. And maybe we purge some things that don't need to be retained. Maybe we can scan some things that need to be retained but are on the older side.
Right.
Or maybe we scan the newer stuff and let the older stuff fall off without going through the effort to
Why
scan
do
it.
we just shut the door? We have to open that door, whoever just shut it. It's an open meeting, so if they want to talk, they can go downstairs.
Yeah, I like your idea, Scott, of
Thank you, Alan.
of definitely involving the building committee. That would be the first step, I would think. And then I also like the idea of getting your town hall department heads together. I think even Caesar was floating around the idea of creating a blank one of these and throwing them out to the department heads here and have them take a shot at it. But again, I think it has to go through proper channels of building committee and department heads. We want everybody to feel like that their opinion matters, you know, and just test the waters with them to see if they're happy where they are, and balance that with what makes the most sense for town hall.
Right.
I will be honest, I feel like there's so much going on in this town right now that a building shuffle, personally, I don't feel like is high on my list of priorities.
I agree.
I feel like we have more than enough on our plate right now with what's going on. So I like maybe the idea that we've kind of kicked this around a little bit, but I would hate to have this be more of a priority than some other things that we have to deal with.
It might be a good idea to wait too until we get the new TA and all the players that.
Correct. We're correct. If they're going to have a building, you know, if they're going to have a room in this building, let's have our new TA have a say in their spot. Our new tag, right? We're going to have a lot of new people, so you know, it's like, all right, here's your janitor's closet. We all voted. You get the janitor's closet. You know what I'm saying? So, right. So you pick last, right? Yeah. You get the bathroom.
So just so I'm clear, the whole purpose of this is so the townspeople that are coming to town hall don't have to go up a set of stairs?
It just makes they're trying to make
Less wear
the
and tear
flow
on
more
elevator.
efficient.
More efficient flow. So the busiest, don't let me speak for you, but busiest offices on the first floor is what I kind of gathered from talking to people.
But I think that the busiest offices are on the first floor.
Okay, yeah.
I gotta be honest, I've been coming to town hall a lot more than I used to, and it's not a bad thing.
Poor Pam.
But I see a lot more traffic in the first floor hallway than I do upstairs.
Yeah. So I think we need to,
Discuss.
we need to discuss. I think we need to discuss.
Yeah, let's think
Yeah.
about this one.
So,
See where we end up with it. At least, let's get everybody who's gonna be working here.
Absolutely.
On board. I think that needs to take priority right now. TA, fire chief, tax collector, there's a lot of things we need to do, and then go into this after.
fall cleaning.
Fall cleaning.
Yeah,
Winter.
Scott. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it. Thanks for
Thank
your
you,
time.
Scott. Chief? Sounds so good, right, Chief?
Chief away on this one.
Chief. Sounds really good.
Gonna get you a shirt.
Hey, you play your cards right with the police chief, you might be able to be out on the pond every weekend.
That's it.
In the boat.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Pack your fishing rod.
Yeah, exactly. Evening, so thanks for seeing me.
Thanks for coming.
Oh, actually, we're pretty much right on time.
Topic is hiring of call firefighters for the departments. So I realize in my interim status, as far as like hiring and firing, is a hold or not the ability to do that. But as of right now, I just want to throw a few things by it. So right now we have 26 firefighters on the departments, according to the latest roster. We average, over the years, around 31. One time, a few years ago, we had a max of about 33. So basically, due to a couple of bullet points that I'll get to, we kind of want to keep a certain average, I guess, not even a minimum per se, but the golden number, I guess, is maybe around 30. So a couple things in the past month and a half. So Bridget, firefighter Riley, pregnant, 5 months, 6 months along. So she moved from a full-time status to light duty. So she is effectively in an administrative position now and not effective on the apparatus. Myself moved up, Chief of Barrels went next door to Pembroke. So that right in and of itself, with those two positions, is like down pretty much out of a 10-man full-time staff is down like 1/5. So with that being said, we have, shifts to fill.
How many
Couple things-
full-time do we have, Chief?
What's that?
How many full-time do we have?
So we have, including the chief, the optimal table of organization is 11 people.
Okay.
10 full-timers with 1 chief. That's how it's been for a few years now. So with those two positions, with as far as Bridget and then myself, so that's a lot of moving around, a lot of taking from, or moving from the full-time position off to, light duty or myself moving up and creating vacancies or whatever. So in the interim, we put a few recruits through Firefighter 1 and 2, which is the Fall Volunteer Academy, and which is exciting because obviously we put recruits through that academy, regional academy in Bridgewater. They graduate after 8 to 10 months of training, and in Firefighter 1 and 2, they have some training to do in the department, but they essentially can perform all the functions in the fire team and go and burning buildings, etc. So the thing that I'm working on now, which kind of stinks, is that out of those 3, and again, it takes time, so putting recruits through Fire 1 and 2 takes time, but as of now, so the 3 we got, 3 they graduated. One of them is offered employment with East Bridgewater Fire. One of them has had 2 interviews and has a 3rd one coming. And as far as I know, the 3rd one has nothing as of yet, but we'll see. So basically, like that route, hiring the recruits, trying to assimilate them in the department, which hopefully would happen, is now looking kind of bleak, among other things, right? But that's just the nature of business. We've had recruits come and go. As far as what happens is when we train them, then I wouldn't say large departments, but other departments, pick them up or whatever because they're trained, and there's really no training for them, so they go elsewhere. So with that being said, I've had a couple people that I know, especially come through the door in the past couple of weeks, and just they're interested in applying just to be on the call position in Halifax. Some people that I know, some people who firefighters who are trained EMTs, they have tons of experience, and they've given me their application, and so I'm interested in bumping those numbers up from 26. So a couple things as well is, so in the coming month of July, as in next month, we have the most amount of shifts to fill between, bridge shift or night shift or whatever that we've had in a long time. So both 6 to 6 shifts are open right now. So we were able to man them and staff them. However, we're kind of stretching that rubber band pretty thin. I think in the month of July coming up, I believe every day we pretty much have a shift. So as of right now, we've been able to fill 85% of them, and we're able to fill them through call, obviously full time. But again, that rubber band is being stretched. The last 2 months, we've had about 8 forces, which is, I can remember the last time we've had. So essentially a force is when it's a holdover. A full-time member is held over from their previous shift and they don't want to be because we're unable to fill it. It happens in the fire service, it is what it is, but you just try to, like the goal, especially someone in my position, is just try to mitigate.
Limit those.
Yeah, not have that happen as much. Burnout, you want all that. Again, it's part of the job, we realize that, but it's just something we try to stay away from. Where if you see it coming, you try to stay ahead of it. And with the summer coming, there's gonna be more vacations, more people out or whatever, so just something to consider. The past 2 weeks we've had COVID run through our department, and it hit 2 people simultaneously. So not only with myself and Bridget out, we had 2 people hit with COVID, and then according to to the Board of Health or whatever, everyone's got to quarantine, so to speak. So again, we were able to fill these spots and have them staffed, 3 members as always. But again, that rubber band got really thin at that point. Everyone's feeling better, which is good, but just something that I always consider is that pandemic thing that can run through the department.
At least we have plenty of tests. What's that? I said at least you had plenty of tests.
Plenty. You have boxes upstairs. Alex has seen firsthand all the boxes.
And I bet hand sanitizer too.
Yes. Before we couldn't get enough of them, obviously. You know, getting from the state. Now we walk upstairs and you trip over COVID back. If anybody wants some COVID home tests. I should start selling them on the black market.
Before they expire, whatever happens to them now.
That's it.
What's that?
Before they like expire, right? Don't they say they don't stay good anymore?
Expiration date. I'm sure people wouldn't care. They would still
Let's go with it.
for a while. One other bullet point I mentioned as far as like the shifts, and again, this is just all kind of the reasons why. As far as like having a combination department, you have full-time and call. I always believe, you know, not more is not better by any means. You know, you always want to invest in the people you have. The thing is, with all these bullet points, and one last one I'll share in a minute, it's just like just want to be careful. I don't want to stretch it too thin. That's why. So normally, as a strong chief, I would pretty much just hire for around 31. But these are just some of the bullet points of why I think you just need to hire a few. One of the shifts the other night, one of our firefighters was a shift commander. She does a great job, but she has 3 months on the job. I mean, is it ideal? No problem at all. Everyone is trained, but just again, one of those things that just with the proper staffing to kind of guard against something like this, something like that wouldn't happen. Now, again, not that it's a bad thing, but it's just something we want to be careful of, to have somebody who only has so few months. And then, but we always have the redundancies in place. Everyone, you know, get along, the team cohesiveness. We talk to, you know, that firefighter and said, we're all, you know, I'm listening anyway or whatever, and no problems at all. Not that there would be, but again, just something because of not so much the low staffing, but just the how hard it was to fill some of those shifts, kind of stretched everything thin. So yeah, so I was just kind of going over a little bit of the scheduling issues, so to speak, in the past month or two, what we got going on as far as, you know, British staying on light duty, me being in this position for an unknown time, which again, it might be another month, it might be, who knows. So yeah, so my goal was just to hire a few more qualified firefighters.
So,
to the department.
So I think you said a couple, the goal number's 30 and now we're a few.
What's that?
So 4?
How many are you looking for, Jeff?
Well, the thing is the vetting process is something that's kind of ongoing, and when I get applications, which I've gotten a few in the past few days, I haven't, like, there's 1 or 2 from other departments that I know of, but I don't know them really well, so I gotta kind of have to go through the reference list, so to speak. So the vetting process isn't, I don't have a solid number. I can tell you, if I'm at 26 right now, I would probably be looking to put on
5?
4 or 5 at the most, which would, if it's 26, would take me to 31, which would be the average. It wouldn't even be the max.
Well, and because most, you have to leave room for that, somebody's not gonna make it. If you hire 5.
Right, so if I lose, like, so one of the, say, recruits, one of them already has a condition, one of them has already been off employment, she's kind of off that 26. Another one who has interviews isn't, so if I lose him, then that brings me down to 25.
Right.
So 5 would be ideal to bring me around 31 staffing.
And that would resolve your forced holdovers.
It would help. It would definitely help some of the bullet points, yes.
Okay.
It just having that, having that manpower. Like I said, the shift that I'm kind of looking to right now, because obviously being in this position for a couple months, we're not going to start another academy until January. Trying to bring in some personnel who are already trained, who already know the system, some of them actually have been on this department before. Bringing them on would, especially 2 or 3 of them, would probably be like an immediate, I don't want to say relief, but just immediate
backup
plan. So just in case, that's all. Just trying to keep, anything from.
What would this do money-wise, as far as what are we looking at ballpark?
Not much. We already have gear. Turn up gear at the station. In the training closet upstairs, I believe we have 6 to 8 sets, so to speak. Lockers, radios. We've already ordered. I've already ordered some Minotaurs through a little bit of surplus that some people use, some people don't. We already have some excess radios. So besides gear, radios, which we already have, I'm not sure how much off the top of my head. I would ask Kendra, sending in to get a physical. Other than that, with with every single person that I plan, it's really zero, it's
Negligible.
negligible,
Yeah.
honestly.
Right,
They're
right.
not extra.
Good. Now, I know we had, when we set up your contract, that you aren't allowed to make, hiring changes or anything. How do we deal with that? Go ahead, tell me.
Oh, that was, when I did this first time, racking my brain, I think I might have put on 1 or 2. I think it was just a verbal,
Is
okay
that
from the
enough?
board. It was more of a, just being in the know. I don't know if it's anything you need to change contractually or anything
Okay.
like that. I think it's a case-by-case basis. So say, for instance, say the chief selection process takes another 6 months, and then 5 months from now, I need to hire more, or whatever the case may be. I think they would just do it.
It
I'll just
says,
come back up
the interim fire chief shall not hire or appoint any full-time employees without authorization of the Board of
Full-time.
Selectmen. Without authorization from us,
Okay.
and he's not looking for
So he's just
full-time.
looking for call?
Yep.
Just authorization.
Great.
I have no discussion. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, let's go.
So I need a motion to allow, Chief Kuzo to hire 5-ish or so.
Say, yes, we'll say 5.
Can we define it as 5?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll say
Up to 5.
Up to
Up to
5.
5 to 5.
up to 5 on-call.
Firefighters.
Firefighters?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Thank you, chief.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here, appreciate
Yep.
it. Look forward to going out on that boat.
That's it. I just keep hearing,
Are you gonna take a shot?
We only made it
Yeah.
two things into this agenda.
I just keep hearing, I
One
just
brings
keep hearing,
sunblock, one brings bug
I
spray.
keep hearing the Andy Griffith theme song in the back of my head.
So I need something motion, I'm like
Yeah, translucent,
White
yeah,
Chief Shaws.
that's it. I didn't know if you were wearing a shirt. It was, yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, chief.
All right, well, let's get back to the agenda.
All right, keep plugging
Talking
along.
about the bike ride now?
Yeah, bike ride, back to the bike ride.
Call
Let's
Guinness.
go back. Oh, this is not.
Oh, oh, that's
Okay, so, we're done with the appointments though.
great.
Make me feel any better.
Well,
So,
item
use of
number
Route
4.
58 boat ramp, pit stop for Harbor to the Bay bike ride. It's Saturday, September 17th. They haven't been able to do this for 2 years. We request permission to ride through Halifax as part of your annual charity bike ride. This will be the 20th year coming through Halifax, and we graciously thank you for consideration and your cooperation in the previous years. Our local fire and police have signed off on this. Do you have anything you want to say on this?
No, the only question I have is, I don't know if you guys have the authority to grant the usage, because it's a state boat ramp, so I'm not sure.
That's what I was gonna say.
I know we've done it in the past, it hasn't been a problem, they use it as a pit stop.
Yeah.
They ride their bikes, they come up down 58 and they go all the way to the cave.
Take the
Never had a problem, but I don't know if maybe one of the truck of the organizers and, I'm assuming that they've had state approval, I don't know. I know.
The state police haven't signed.
Because they start in Boston, I think that ride, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so. But I mean,
So we can push, it's not till September anyways,
yeah.
so let's push it to the July meeting, and I'll give it back to you. If that's okay with you guys.
Yeah.
Contract with Waste Management, and the one that we moved. So Board of Selectmen has to authorize the chair to sign this contract, which is the one to hold us over while we,
While we figure out what we're doing.
yeah.
Yep.
So I would need a motion for that.
Can I so move it?
Yep.
So moved.
Is there a
And I will
second?
second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We gotta pull that one that you wanna take out of order out.
Yep.
Okay, so 14. 14. Call you? Let me pull the other one. I don't know how far back it was. Paper streets.
All right, so next is, since we went out of order.
Do you have the stuff on it?
Do we, I don't know.
Well, we're gonna talk about you wanted to talk about the
Trash.
forming an ad hoc trash committee.
Sure.
That's where we're at.
Awesome. We have no paperwork on this, right?
I don't believe so.
No. Okay.
You put it on your agenda?
I don't believe I did. Did we? Who put this
that
up
on the
there?
agenda?
I think so.
Okay, yeah, sure.
I was like, I
Sure.
thought so.
No. So I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense if we form a committee to investigate this, as far as a long-term solution to our trash problem. Ideally, I was thinking our town administrator, maybe a select committee member, Sue maybe from down at recycling, just to try to get a jump on what our plan is moving forward.
I don't know if we necessarily need a committee, but I think it'd be good for those three people to work together to come up with a plan.
Sure.
We worked on it one time.
Was there a committee for this?
I think Jeff Smith was on it years ago.
How many people were on it?
I'd have to pull up the folder and see how it's going and how it is, so I can look at it. I can read it. I don't know. Yeah.
So we'll move that to the next meeting. Let's put that on July. Yeah. So we can look into how we did it before, what it entailed, and all that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Well, we need to vote in public session to approve the interim fire chief's contract. So I need a motion for that.
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We already signed it, so that's good. Yep.
Crossed off the word interim all over it, right?
It just says fire chief. Oops, typo. We'll leave that one.
See how long you keep showing up.
I don't know. Do you have this? Are you talking again?
Oh yeah, a couple times. MOU?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, the MOU?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe some clarification on it. I know on the list, but
Oh, okay.
oh, the Juneteenth? Yeah, okay.
Yes. So this is a memorandum of understanding between Town of Halifax and Police Chief. Parties have successfully negotiated a collective bargaining agreement on July 13th, 2021. So we just need to motion to agree to this.
I see it.
Yeah. And then he's next on this too.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
Do I have a motion?
Yeah, so this is essentially giving him a paid holiday for Juneteenth.
Juneteenth. Yep.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can I sign this now, Pam?
Yep.
All right.
Sign it. Recommendations from police chief for reappointments of police matrons, licensing authority, and special. You should get that to Alex too. Specialized, lost my thoughts. Sorry. Duty officers.
So so as far as the reappointments of police matrons, we are dropping one of them. Really hasn't been involved at all, so we are going to ask the board to reappoint the
list.
names listed on the list. I think it's 3 or 4.
There's 4. So I'm looking for a motion to reappoint. Do you want me to go into it? Yeah, we can't. But we can reappoint the list provided by the police chief. Sorry. You have to put their names. Here.
Yeah, let's take that.
Okay, so these are the lists. So I need a motion to reappoint the police matrons, licensing authorities, and special duty officers as listed by the recommendation letters of police.
I don't think I have the list.
I don't think I have it either. Is this the one copy?
Let's look at it.
Yeah.
No, they all have copies in their folder. I know. It's
the folder thing.
Pam, I can't find it. Sorry.
It's fine. Every time. No, we don't think it's always us, don't we? Always. We have this problem in every board, I feel like.
So the board has a question, the licensing authority, so it basically, it gives the officers powers to deal with liquor establishments. So that's got to come from the state, so we have to, they have to be reappointed as such.
Okay.
And then the special duty officers, we are going to be left with just one active, Chief Broderick. Chief Broderick will probably stay on it to perform special details.
Sure.
Because as you know, June 30th is approaching,
Yes.
and then that's one of the other things that I need to speak to the board about, hiring,
One question.
Yeah.
Why do they expire June 30th, June 20th?
I don't know, that's just,
It could be a typo.
Could be a typo.
It could be a typo. I think it's a typo.
Just asking.
Yeah, jeez. Are they all like that?
Yeah, they all say June 20th.
They're July 1st or June 20th?
July 1st, June 20th.
It's June 30th.
okay.
I just didn't know if there was a reason.
Here, I will,
No, it is all June 30th.
Yeah, it's a typo.
all right, is anybody gonna move it?
Oh, please, so
Thank
moved.
you.
Second.
And a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Great. Awesome.
Thank you, Chief.
I would look for a motion, we have 3 resignations for the beautification committee, and I would look for a motion to send thank you letters.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Great. Keep moving here. Vacation carryovers. You guys have this, right?
Yes, I do have vacation
I
carryover.
do have the carryovers as well.
Yes.
So, the police department, this is, they can only, I believe,
They're capped, I
carry
believe.
over
The max they can carry is 80.
80, right?
Thank you, Chief.
That's the max according to their contract.
Right, and I believe we, so I'm looking for a motion to approve the police department vacation carryover.
Let me just flip through them really quick.
Sure.
We don't need any June 20th.
Yeah, there's a few that, most of them are normal per contract. One of them is due to an injury. He can't finish up his vacation.
It's down on here a little bit more, we're gonna get to that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So
The
that's why it's
approval of
standing, that's what we carry on.
Yep.
Let me know when you're done, Alex. Looks good to me.
Do we have a motion, Jonathan?
That was so moving that thing.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. I moved it.
Alex second.
Alex second.
Okay. And then we have one for the
Unanimous.
town treasurer.
Town treasurer. So the town treasurer, I am the person carry over 57 hour vacation time, which has been going for in the middle of the Thursday. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Next, building maintenance.
Building maintenance, all in order. Well done, Pam.
You girl.
The only comment I have about this, and I've said it across the street, is I understand everyone's time here is important. I don't like seeing numbers this big,
Yeah,
because it's such a liability.
Yeah. There has to be some kind of
And,
something.
I mean, Scott, I understand Scott's here?
No, he wasn't.
No.
I understand he's the director of building maintenance, but there's no one that could
For
Hold
that,
down the
for
fort.
that amount of
For-
hours. For
yeah.
that amount of hours, yes.
Yeah, it's a lot of time.
I mean, he's at 3.5 weeks.
Yeah.
My opinion has always been, I don't think it's fair to say no within so much time of him using or losing them. However, I would like to have the understanding that moving forward, we're going to try to get that number down.
I would agree. I would agree. So is there a max for the building maintenance? Is there an 80-hour max for building maintenance too? In that department, or?
Well, it's
1 week.
Right, the director, if you're talking about the director, it's just related to personnel.
No, we're talking about building maintenance.
Building maintenance.
Director.
The director,
Oh, yeah.
The director, yeah.
He's waiting personnel.
So it's
And
only
they're allowed to carry over waiting personnel is allowed to carry over 1 week's worth of vacation time from the highway to cover. So I don't know if he has, I don't know how much he gets a year.
It's a big number.
It's a huge number.
It's a
so
huge number.
I'm not going to agree on this one until we talk to Scott. That's my opinion, but that's up to you guys.
Until what?
We talked with Scott and make sure that's right, because if we turn around and grant his and we tell all these other people you only get 80 or
Right.
you only get
That's a
1
good
week.
point. Yep, I'm fine with that.
So I want to hold that one. We're gonna hold it for right now.
So we need a motion to hold or just hold?
You can move it, it's fine.
I didn't know.
It's not a bad idea.
All right.
But I'm sorry, I guess.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, it's his time, but I agree, it's a really, really big number. So let's make a motion to hold it over till we can talk with Scott.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Steve Hayward. Looking for a motion here. The following employees intend to carry over 40 hours of vacation time. And I believe
So moved.
all those in, oh, sorry, I didn't get a second. I jumped the gun there. Sorry, Alex.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, no. Geez, Pam.
This McSherry lady.
Trouble.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Another reason we needed a TA.
That's it.
And then I'm looking for a motion to approve a 111F injured on duty officer. Or anything like that.
Right. Do we have paperwork on this?
Yeah, you can look at it.
Okay.
I have it, but it's.
Yeah, no, we won't share any details.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, sorry.
He told us about this one, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So looking for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Who that?
Do we need to sign this? Do we need to sign this, Pam, or are we good? We're good. Please check with it. Okay, so next is change of status from health agent.
Yeah, but that, just FYI, you guys like, we don't have waiting personnel board.
Right.
So you guys are down.
Oh, yes, I remember about this. It was-
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
But that's just an FYI, we don't have to do anything with that one. Live entertainment request, we already granted this, didn't we?
No, well,
Is this
we
new?
did, yeah, I think you should submit an application, so why don't we just start? I do have, Chief Kuzo had asked if there's one with doing tents.
Oh.
But that, so I do have to ask for that, so why don't we
So,
contingent on?
no tents. Okay.
So just to be clear though, an easy up is not a tent, right? Oh, yeah, there you are. How are you?
What about the tent?
Oh, sorry.
On the line that's named on the tent.
Yes.
What do you think, what do you mean, like enclosed tents, or do you like, you know, sometimes like a pop-up tent to keep the sun out? I'm not.
Well, I was thinking, I didn't know with the amount of people, if there was gonna be like a large gathering or a large tent with like cooking underneath the tent, then I was just gonna
Right.
fire.
Yeah.
If there's no tents, then.
No, I believe, I don't want to speak for them, but I believe it's, those easy up tents for vendors, to keep the sun off them, and they kind of claim their space with their easy
They
ups.
have food trucks, I didn't know if they're doing food trucks.
Yeah, food trucks, yep. So,
If there was any cooking underneath the tents, I'll say fire extinguisher. Other than that, no, I'm good. Yeah.
awesome.
I don't know.
And we already approved this. We did it contingent on,
We did, okay.
do you want to move again?
Yeah, but she had,
Sure.
she had submitted the application.
Okay, so we're gonna reapprove this.
For power cord, he's gonna push him, who's gonna get it.
Yeah,
All right.
it's all set.
So we need to move it again?
So
or-
move it again.
All right, so moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
You don't need that, do you? Sorry, I'm just kind of dishing it to you. Road openings. Let's
this one right
see.
here.
Please approve the following road openings contingent on approval from conservation. 23 Dartmouth Street, 7 Old Ocean Ave, 12 Water Street, and 407 South Street. Building inspector, police chief, highway, and water superintendent have all signed off.
They know a lot more than me.
Yep, me too.
407 South Street.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Here, you can pass them down to Alex. We have to sign them all.
Okay.
Please.
That decided that, and just let you guys know what the reserve on tennis for the transfer from, well, that one could be a reserve on transfer,
So we don't need to vote on this, it's just, so they're making a reserve fund transfer to the fire chief recruitment account.
Okay, that's
For your knowledge.
Yep. Do we need to approve that?
Nope. Nope, we don't approve that.
That's yours for getting the extra credits.
Right.
Okay.
And then we have
And then,
line item transfers.
Sandy, do I need to Hancock this at all? No, okay.
But we
need to do the
yeah,
whole
let me just hold it.
Put it in the key
I'm
pot.
Yeah, let's not.
Give it before Celia loses it.
Line item transfers to the Selectmen and Finance Committee. The request is hereby made for the following transfers from appropriation in accordance with Chapter 44, Section 33B of the Mass General Laws. Please transfer the amount of $5,800 from account 01-129-5110, the town administrator's salary. The budget amount for the fiscal year was $121,250. Current balance is $19,296.04. The reason is because they're left over from wages. To account 01-193-5753, which is insurance. The budget amount for the fiscal year is $315,741. Current balance is $5,058.46. Expenses exceeded the amount appropriated. So I need a motion on this.
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Here, Alex. Site plan. Oh, just kidding, there's another one. Sorry, Sandy. I wasn't gonna pass over that. So then we have another one to transfer $205 from account 01123, selectmen expenses, budget amount $3,925. Current balance is $566.61. To town reports, budgeted amount is $6,600. Current balance is $835.09, and the expenses exceeded what was appropriated. I need a.
So moved.
Yeah, correct those. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Did you pass out the original then?
No, I have it right here.
So make sure these are all copies. Copy. Oh, pain in the tack on the way out.
She will.
Oh, I missed signatures on the last round on pages 2 and 3.
On which ones?
These.
It says sign all 3 copies. And,
I think
Go
we all
back,
did.
go back, go back.
Back it up.
Amateur move.
that was a test. It failed.
And we failed miserably.
Yeah, we did.
Holy cow.
Someone writes all 3 copies.
Right?
You. Oh, yeah, we all can find this too.
I gotta get that quilt pen.
We need a stamp.
Quilt.
That's for you. Live entertainment.
It's the bottom of these two, kiddo.
Oh, thank you. Alright, fine.
Alright,
For you, Pam.
I know.
Jeez. Site plan
copies.
section. Sorry, in last one again? The copies, we have to sign them? Alright, that's it.
Copies.
And I just signed on. Sorry. So you're missing, he's missing those. I'm so weird.
These are copies.
Yeah, they don't sign those, right?
I thought it was in triplicate, no?
No.
Oh, we already signed
We
it.
signed
That's
those.
your copy.
Well, I'm glad I have your signature on the copy.
Wrist start date.
It's gonna be worth money one day.
Chicken scratch.
Okay, we have a site plan for a solar array. I believe this is just to tell us that it's here. If you wanna look at it, 69 Summer Street.
Where is it?
69 Summit Street. It's submitted to the planning board for review on June 6th. The plan is a proposed solar array to be located at 69 Summit Street, map 88, lot 6. So, we have it here, if anyone wants to see it. Oh my goodness, what are these things?
Oh, there's.
We don't have anything else in the book.
This is from site plans.
Interim treasurer collector. I didn't put that on there, so someone else is gonna speak.
No, it's submitted on the 6th, this is written on the 7th.
This is presented as early as next to some soccer fields.
Come on.
So we'll move that. Okay, we'll get to this. Jonathan, did you put the next thing on the agenda?
I did.
Okay, so you're gonna talk on it?
Yeah. So it's, where is it? So there's, it's a long way.
Me too. Should we recess? No, don't.
No, we have to get, no, we can come in and look at these, and then we just have to send our questions to the planning board
Right.
for the fact.
We just have to say that we got them so everyone can know.
Oh, all right, public record.
It's not a,
Public record.
it's not a thing.
It's not approved.
It's not like an approval.
I got you.
Interim treasurer collector is your thing.
Yes. Yes.
We're missing a Pam.
We're missing a Pam.
She had joined us, Jim.
Okay.
So you can see.
So yeah, I put the interim treasurer collector on the agenda today. I would like to make a motion to make Linda Cole our acting treasurer collector for the time being. In speaking with all the different departments, accounting, treasury, all our different spots here, it came to the conclusion here that we need somebody to fill this spot, essentially in a regulatory way. And I'm not going to butcher this completely, but banks are going to need us to have an acting treasurer collector, not just an assistant treasurer collector, as far as filling out forms, as far as having the power to do things. My concern, I know we have an election coming up at the end of July. We're going to have a backlog. We're going to have, number one, a new person in the position, and we're going to have a backlog of work. And in addition to that work, we're going to have a pile of things that our treasurer collector hasn't been able to do. In most towns, when your treasurer collector leaves, there is an interim. So I just feel like in the essence of helping whoever it is that comes in for that position, so that they're not overwhelmed and completely.
What would make you say that, Jonathan? That having a mountain worth of work as a new position?
Exactly. So that was my thought in asking around to the different departments. They felt that Linda would fill that role nicely, and that she would also be able to maintain her duties there. But just as a purely a regulatory title, to be able to help with bank issued stuff that she needs to get done.
Have you talked to Linda Cole about it?
I have spoken to Linda Cole about it, but there is the issue of she will have to be paid accordingly. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody was okay with that, with that decision. And again, election is the end of July. That person who comes in, I just don't want them to be overwhelmed, speaking from experience, with a lot of things on their plate. Have at it.
I agree that regulatorily speaking, it would be beneficial to have someone in the position so that the next treasurer collector can not cut their teeth or come into the position with a mountain worth of paperwork.
Sandy, did we check into the intern being able to be somebody who's not a resident?
Yes, and that's not an issue. A lot of times do have interns who are not residents.
So you made a motion, so.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All set.
Distressed properties, I put this on too, in talking with Bob at the Board of Health. It's still kind of in the infant process, but I know his Board of Health is looking at ways to approach properties that are distressed, commercial properties that are distressed, and I'm trying not to butcher what Bob told me, they're looking at bylaws from other towns to maybe give our Board of Health a little bit more ammunition as far as dealing with distressed properties commercially in town. I just wanted to put that on your radar, you guys, and I can speak to Bob on this and we can circle back to it in another meeting, but.
We should maybe ask him or the Board of Health to come in about it, so.
Yeah, so I just wanted to give you guys the heads up that I know the Board of Health is considering bylaw, looking into our bylaws to give our Board of Health a little bit more, I don't want to say power, but a little bit more say. Wiggle, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
When it deals with commercial properties and being distressed.
Sure.
So just wanted to get that out there to you guys.
Paper streets.
Paper streets. Oh, we already did ad hoc.
I didn't do paper streets.
Paper streets.
Pam? Oh, we're gonna move paper streets. That's what she was saying, to the first meeting in July.
I don't know,
Sorry.
I think we put it on there, but it's.
We moved these next two things from the meeting before.
Right, on this.
So, but we have to talk to Steve, so
That's a
let's move
Steve
those,
question.
let's move those to Steve. Sandy, have you heard anything else about the ARPA stipend issue, the funds being here?
I
And
have not heard anything else about what's coming in. We're watching, we're waiting.
Okay.
But I did hear it should happen in June, that's all.
Okay, so let's just move that to the next one too, just in case we have to circle back to it, so it's there. Selection of citizen at large for fire chief, search committee. I just had all that somewhere.
All right, where is that? I had it here somewhere.
I know, I did the same thing. Canvas that we spread out.
Yeah, so I know this is my baby here, so when looking at the talent bank forms for all these candidates, I think they're all qualified. And again, talking with Jack Parrow, who's kind of heading our search, he didn't necessarily say that we had to go with a first responder or somebody in the fire community to keep the... Correct. He said to keep it a little bit more robust and have maybe somebody from another department or walk of life, if you will, to round out the committee. My two cents. I was thinking of possibly Kendi, where she would have to work with this person, and I know Ashley, you were saying, well, she gets to pick her boss. Her decision is not final. You know, it's a committee in the true sense of the word. So she would have an opinion, but not final opinion. So I would look to maybe add Kendi there, and then a citizen at large between, you know, somebody that's not in the fire community. My first glance was Candace Niffen, just because she was involved. She was a selectman and was involved in Bergerano's screening. So
I agree with Candy Niffen. I would love to see maybe Jean Gallant, who's a different department head in another department, be a part of it.
Brian Evangelista is a firefighter in Pembroke.
Sure.
I do like that one. I'm not a big fan of having the administrative assistant have a say in picking a bus.
Okay.
And I know Candy appreciates how closely the Halifax Selectmen have to work with the fire chief. So I think we're doing 3 now.
So we're doing 2. I think we all
We're gonna
disagreed
do
with
2.
Candy, though.
So Candy.
So we have to agree to the second.
Sure. There are great candidates on the list. You know, there's Barbara Gaynor, there's Jean Gallant, there's all. It's like picking your favorite ice cream. They're all good.
Jeff, you're on there, right?
So maybe Jean, because she's an active department head.
I like that idea. That's my suggestion.
She was also involved. I know Jean was also involved with the screening committee for our COA director as well. So she's been around the block too. Okay.
So I would look for a motion to appoint Jean Gallant and Candace Niffen to our fire chief search committee as citizen at large.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. And again, I will just double check with these folks to make sure that they're okay with the commitment and that they'll be available.
Sure. SRO discussion. You.
Yes, that's me. I'm all over this thing.
You're so good.
So recently, we had a meeting, myself, chief, member of the school committee. I'm trying to think of who else was there, chief. Brain's already.
And Kate Bowdry.
Yeah, Principal Bowdry and our attorney, an attorney there, talking about increasing our presence at the school with our school resource officer. given things today, we figured it'd be nice to have a little bit more of a police presence at our elementary school, put simply. We were trying to come up with ways, spitballing ways as to how we could make it work, and to make it work without taking away from the rest of the town as far as patrols, as far as safety, you know, townwide.
Right, so we're already gonna be short-staffed.
Correct. So one of the avenues we were looking at is maybe a sort of a shared funding between both the elementary school and the police department, so that they would split this position, so that the school, you know, they're gonna have this person here for arbitrary amount of time, I don't know, let's say 10 hours a week, I'm spitballing. So for 180 days, for those hours, the school, we could come up with some sort of formula so that the school would kick in to cover that time. And then, Chief, I don't want to speak for you, but you said you might be able to work things as far as your budget on your side as well.
No.
No, all right. There you go.
What I said is that I would approach the board about possibly increasing our staffing. And at that point, I have to have a nice meeting with Sandy and really crunch some numbers, to have something ready quite for town meeting, whether my budget can withstand the additional the officer, because obviously if we do that officer, we need a body to put in school.
Sure.
There's no way about it. I mean, I only have 11 officers. I have the same number of officers that they had in 1991 with 3,000 people. And now with 2022, we still have only 11 officers. So that's, I mean, I know we've had some preliminary discussions with Sandy, just very preliminary. And there is some wiggle room in the budget, but I don't know, I don't want to forecast it out because obviously July 1st is coming and I don't know what's going to happen with, when I'm losing that special office, these special staff.
Sure.
So, I did kind of jump the gun, but I just wanted to get ahead of the curve. And I put out a request for applications for staffing, looking at, possibly full-time positions, but again, we have the board to decide on the numbers. We'll have some discussions on that down the road, and then also some part-time positions. Part-time positions, again, because of police reform, I'm very limited on the applicants that I can take. Obviously, I'm not going to send somebody to the academy for 6 months. That's not doing me any good. So we'll need somebody that's already certified who's gone to the Bridge Academy. So there's some limitations there. So I mean, the application's been out for a couple of days. I've gotten one nibble so far.
Okay.
So that's where we're at right now. But yeah, I mean, Sandy and I have to sit down and kind of crunch some numbers and hopefully have something for the board to kind of, some recommendations on what the numbers should be. Not only to address that issue, but just other overall staffing issues within the bottom.
Okay. I apologize. I didn't. I said that wrong. Sorry. The look of death was very nice. I got to do speed limit on the way home. So no, and I think we were excited, Chief, because the school was very receptive to sharing some of the cost of this. And again, we can put it out to the town, and if it's something that we want to do, it's something that we want to do. And we also maybe talked creatively about what this person would do outside of school hours. School is September to June or July. We just had a big meeting about how we have issues at our beaches. So that person could be assigned to some beach duty, to some areas of town that are busy when the weather gets nicer, when school is out. So it could kill two birds with one stone possibly. So just that's being considered.
So I think we should pick this to our July meeting so that if we get any other discussion before school starts and all that, we can talking about it.
And the idea being, if it is something we wanted to do, and I don't know if it's realistic, to maybe have it in place for September for start of school.
So we're definitely going to kick this to the first July meeting. That way we can discuss it again and do some more research. Thank you for heading that.
Okay.
You're doing a great job.
I thought you were a police liaison.
You do school.
Yeah,
So you take the upper hand on that one. It's first meeting in July.
anyhow, we'll try to get together before that.
Give you some time together.
My extra vacation time.
There you go.
9? Yeah.
All right, and then next one, department head meetings. I would like to try to get back to department head meetings here in Halifax, where I would like to start monthly. A date and time to be determined, whichever works. And I know we've done these in the past. My idea was to have a rotational selectman representative, where one of us could be there, on a rotational basis, and maybe if there's anything to come out of it, to send to Pam and we can all get it. But I just feel like there's a need here at Halifax and in this department head situation that people get together. I know you guys have done these for a long time, and to get back to a department head meeting with just the one selectman, so it doesn't have to necessarily be an open meeting for department
How it
heads.
always was. We've had one meeting with both selectmen here because of the situation and because that other selectman was up for election and I wanted to know what was going on before this happened.
Gotcha.
So it wasn't common practice. It's not something we changed forever. It was the last department head meeting we had before the election.
Okay.
So just to clear that up, because
Yeah.
I keep hearing this whole, we don't want to make it an open meeting. I understand that. That was a different situation.
Okay. I wasn't here. I was.
I was, so clearing that up.
So the record has been set. We have department heads here. I don't know if you guys know of a time and a place and a date when you guys used to do them. I would assume it was towards the end of a day on
Usually on like a Thursday afternoon around 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that it was a couple of hours that was available.
Okay.
And it was usually a round table situation. Everyone would just go around and what was going on in their department. Maybe watch out for this or, this is what we're doing. We're awfully busy right now. So, different things like that. But I think monthly would be great. We've never had it.
Like we could do the first
Yeah.
Thursday
It's like,
every month.
First Thursday of every month?
At 2 o'clock.
Does that work for department heads?
It just keeps the lines of communications open.
Absolutely.
I think it's important.
Absolutely. Vital.
Yeah, I agree. And if there's, things coming up in the department that, we can catch before we get into those bad budgetary wise, I think that helps.
Especially that TA.
Everybody there.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
all right, so our first one would be
Thursday,
First
July,
Thursday.
whatever that first Thursday is.
watch. It's going to be
7.
okay.
7.
Yeah, 2 p.m.
2 p.m. They said.
And you're doing
You're gonna do the first one?
Do you want me to do the inaugural? Sure.
Yep.
All right. And then do we have a rotation? You guys, who wants the second one?
I'll do August.
August, Alex, you're on the hook for September. And then we'll go as such.
You're the HVAC guy. I'm sure you don't have a ton of
I
time
do
to
not
be
have
here
time
at
for
2
that.
o'clock
Yeah.
in the summer.
Sorry.
What's that?
Yeah, we'll make it work.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
All right. Town
All
administrator
right.
report.
Home stretch. Bring us home, Ed.
Go ahead.
Wow, firecracker. Ed's getting cranky. That's it. I know.
Members of the board, on the recommendation of our building supervisor, Scott Matera, we are requesting that the wage schedule in the mixed union contract be amended so that we would eliminate the term unrestricted in the unrestricted construction supervisor's license, to eliminate unrestricted and have the employee, the building maintenance craftsperson, have a construction supervisor's license, and this would allow Scott to be a little bit more competitive in the job search. So anyway, the union has agreed. So I have here a memorandum of understanding between the union and the town.
Oh, it's more than one.
I'm surprised it's unrestricted. Not just a CS license. I'm surprised.
Sorry.
look for a motion to move this.
Yeah, no, I'm just, with the buildings in town, I'm surprised it's unrestricted CS license.
Both of them.
Okay.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. It's not even,
Don't go anywhere.
And the salary stays the same.
I'm sorry?
Salary stays the same.
You like that?
They're both, I think it's just two copies. They're both the same.
Or not?
No?
Just that a member of the union signed in the wrong place on one.
Somebody signed up here. Oh, you remember?
No, line, there's an extra line.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else on your report? While you're here, we passed over your vacation request, so before we end, the question was the astronomical amount and how much you're allowed to carry over. So do you want to speak on that?
Sure. So due to people leaving the department and to people being injured and being out, we've been shorthanded for at least 6 months of the year. So I haven't taken hardly any time. I'm allowed some comp time, which I can be able to take most of that. So carrying over a lot of vacation time.
Was this an exception to the rule, would you say, this year? I mean, I mean,
What did you carry over last year?
yeah.
2 weeks.
Yeah. So this isn't a frequent practice for you, it's just the way the year went.
Yep. Yeah, we had 2 injuries. One guy I think was up for 4 months, and the other guy was up for 2 months. And that doesn't count for, onesie, twosie days out. So.
I'd just like to say I love how dedicated this staff is, that nobody wants to go on vacation.
Mm.
So thank you all for that.
All right, well, given light of that situation and how it's not a common practice, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, are you planning on taking vacation this year? I don't want to be sitting here next year with asking for 175.
I would love to. Sure, I'd love the vacation. In fact, if you said no, I'd be on vacation tomorrow.
That's the other thing I'm nervous about.
Yeah, especially now getting that change in the contract.
Yeah. I just,
should be able to fill that spot.
when you weren't here, that was my one comment, is I just don't like to have that much time on the books. I mean, it's a liability from my point of view.
Absolutely.
So moving forward, as long as we're not going to just keep that snowball rolling.
Yeah.
All right, a second. Did you motion it? Or sorry.
Yeah,
I motion it.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Thank you, Scott.
And it's that time because we don't have to go into executive session. So I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
Oh, so moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Thank you, guys. That was a marathon.